Welcome to the world of ethical hacking, everyone. I, Sumit, is here to guide you in this very tour of ethical hacking, where we will have different checkpoints to learn things practically and theoretically. So, guys, I mean to say that I have divided this whole workshop in the form of different key points, which are actually the checkpoints where we will learn new kinds of attacks as well as the defense techniques. So, the name of our journey is here. You can see put attack and defense side by side. And remember, guys, it's an interesting journey where we will be using different weapons, or you can say that we will be using different tools to attack as well as defend ourselves. So, moving further, as I explained earlier, these are the tools which especially I am using for this workshop. These are Metasploit, Kali Linux, Mac Terminal, Hulkbuster, Modelishka, Black Eye. And guys, in the field of ethical hacking, you can find thousands of tools for different kinds of purpose. Each tool has its own work and its own specialty, I would say. So these are the tools I'm using. And one thing more I would like to tell friends that some of the tools used here are used for very basic purpose of ethical hacking attacks, but some of the tools are used for advanced purpose also. So it's a complete package of learning all the kinds of tools. So, moving to the very first checkpoint of this workshop, I have added two new words which are, I think, familiar to some of the people, but most of them would not know it exactly. So, and the word is IP address. So, very few people would be knowing that exactly what's an IP address, why it is made, what is its working, and all those things. So for them I have included this word. So friends, like you are in your home and that particular area would have a particular address, right? So exactly like the same, the place from where you are surfing, across the internet or using different kinds of, activities on the internet. So that activity is being monitored through a kind of address which is your, IP address, internet protocol address, and every person has its own special IP address. So it basically tells about your location, what kind of net you are using on some of the important key things which may be used by a hacker. So if you want to know your IP address, like for curiosity, you can type what is my IP. Like you type here what is my IP, then you will get different links. Just click on any of them. So here you will see that my IP address is this, and the country and the region where I am sitting, city, and the internet service provider from where I am receiving the internet. So this is the basic IPv4. Like this we can get, and you can also get. uh, by chance, if you want to get on your terminal, Kali terminal, then you could do from your Kali terminal in the following way I am doing. Like you can just uh, fire off your Kali Linux. And guys, those who are unaware of the Kali Linux, Kali Linux is an open source that is free, of course, for pen testing and ethical hacking, where you can boost off your skills and practice whatever areas in which you are expert for those kinds of things. So there are a lot of tools which you can use: Kali Linux, Burp Suite, and DVWA, Acunetics. There are a lot. If I'll try to say every tool one by one, then it would take a day. So you can see I have opened my Kali Linux, and I just go to the shell. This is the shell of the Kali Linux, where I'll type the command if config. I have typed it config, and it shows here this eth is the Ethernet. So I am receiving the net. This is my IP address. inet is the IP address. It's also called IP, so it is IPv4 actually, version 4. This is inet 6. So like this we can get the IP address from the Kali Linux terminal also, guys. So this was kind of information, like how can you get it. So currently, coming back to the IP address, there are two kinds of IP address now available. IPv4, which is a set of address ranging from 0 to 25 to 255, the digits separated by 3 commas, and are arranged in a set of 4 numbers. Like this, an example is given, and you saw the IP address. When I tried to find my IP address, so exactly, it was in the same pattern. And one more version of the IP address is now currently in the market, that is IPv6. And basically this is not used for purpose of teaching and practicing. IPv4 is generally more preferred. So this is nothing but 8 set of 4 characters which are separated by colons, and each string contain numbers and lowercase letters. So that was the IP address, guys, and now this is the MAC address. I know some of you only have heard of the MAC address. Very few would have heard about what it is. So MAC address is, guys, media access control. So if I'll try to define in simple words, I'll say that MAC address is something which is related to the machine. It is physical address, and the IP address is something which is virtual. That is the network address. So guys, every IP address has a unique MAC address, which is something by sometimes used as a key feature in the terms of ethical hacking. So MAC address is a 12-digit address in which numbers range from 0 to 9 and the letters range from A to F. So these are separated by colons, and there are generally 3 ways of representing a MAC address, like you can see here. And if you want to know more, I'll tell that the first 6 digits represents the adapter's manufacturer, right? The adapter, the adapter of the machine of which it's getting the address, and the next 6 represents the unique identification number of that specific adapter, right, guys? So this is the basic terminology of MAC address. So these two are the important words which we will be using throughout the workshop. So I introduced it earlier. Now guys, we have crossed one checkpoint. Now we have to move to the next checkpoint. So coming to the next checkpoint, when we come, we see the next checkpoint is creating a Trojan. So guys, from this slide, I think the real, the ethical working starts. So guys, when you hear of a word called Trojan, what exactly strikes in your mind? People who are aware of this word will know that Trojan is kind of virus, guys. Okay, which is designed for a malicious purpose. So the word Trojan itself says that it is made for some harmful purpose. So I'll would be showing you how to create a Trojan exactly through an automated tool. See guys, there are 2 ways of creating a Trojan. Either you create it with a tool, either you create it manually, right? Exactly. So I'll not demonstrate now The complexity I'll demonstrate which is convenient for you to create. So, and for creating the tool, for creating the Trojan, we will be using a tool that is a subdirectory of Kali Linux, that is MSF Venom, Metasploit framework. It's a kind of framework on which this tool is built, that is Metasploit framework. The name of the tool is Venom. By typing MSF Venom minus L payloads, you can see the list of payloads. So if I'll open my Kali Linux, guys, right, and just simply type here MSF Venom. So when I hit enter button, then it will show me all the kinds of functions which I can use, values for encoders, for the payloads, everything we can use. And creating a Trojan for a malicious intent, guys, is not a good thing, I'll say. It is okay for educational purpose, but not for any intentional purpose. Okay. Okay, the next line says here, guys, this is nothing. Many of you would be thinking like exactly what this thing is. So don't worry, this is not a rocket science. It's just the name of the Trojan function. Like what exactly it does, it's the Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP. So basically, when you can see in the name, it's a Trojan which will try to crack Windows, right? Yeah, it's a crack of Windows through TCP. TCP is transmission control protocol, guys. Transmission control protocol exactly is where the transmission of our data takes place from one layer to another layer. Like transmission of data has various layers like TCP, UDP, and that ARP, address resolution protocols, all those things. So through that reverse TCP, it will do the reverse TCP. Exactly, if I'll try to explain each and everything, then it will take a quite long time. So that would be little complex. So I think we are generally interested in just attack. People are happy when their works just go on very fast. They are happy, right? So we'll do exactly the same thing. That's the Trojan we are creating, Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP. Exactly, guys. And this is the general syntax of the Trojan. If you are curious to know how a Trojan works, what are the ways in which it works, MSF Venom minus P, you have to type minus P. It's a general syntax. In this way, you can execute the command to create a Trojan. Payload is nothing, the name. This is Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP, guys. Lhost is nothing, your IP address. In the above explanation, I told you how to check your IP address, how to find it, all those things. L port. Now here comes the port. So people who are not aware of the port, like exactly what's the port number. So guys, I'd like to tell you, right, we have 65,536 ports, and each port is designed for different purpose. Okay, so if I'll write port 80, so if I'll write port 80, guys, so port 80 is for HTTP. All the web activities taking place in the form of HTTP request will be displayed on port 80. We can scan and we can sniff someone's request of port 80 using this Trojan, guys. You're imagining, like, if you are using HTTP for a login purpose, then someone could hijack that session and log in into your account. If I write, guys, port 3306, so port 3306 is for MySQL. Someone could enter your MySQL and do his SQL injection attack and all those things. So ports are very important because it's a kind of tunnel from where the data flows into our machine. So basically it's a security checkpoint, right? From where the data comes in. So if someone compromises with the ports, it will directly affect your machine itself. So like here we are using the port number. on which exactly we want to perform this attack. So basically, for a default purpose, people use port 4444 or port 80. You can use, I'll suggest port 4444 minus a file type. File type is nothing, guys, but exe type we are creating because it's for the desktop and the laptop kinds of devices. So it's exe and then the name of the Trojan or path, you can say. So by this, the Trojan would be created. And one more thing, remember, guys, especially this thing I have especially mentioned here, not to press enter button before putting the sign this one, as this will run the exploit on your own device. So guys, it's saying that after you mention the this when you type exe and Trojan, so when you press the enter button, so this Trojan will run on your own machine, so you do not have to press enter button. So this is a thing you have to note. Please remember, guys, otherwise it could harm your device. Okay, before putting this, you do not have to press enter button. If you pressed enter button after this, so this Trojan will start acting on your own device. So this is a general syntax of the Trojan, guys. And after mentioning the path or the name, you can see that the trojan1.exe has been created. Okay, so just only now read the title, encrypted Trojan, guys. This thing I have mentioned especially, I could have skipped this part, guys, but I have mentioned this one because you know uh, as the technology is increasing day by day, so hackers tools are also increasing day by day. So encrypting, guys, if you are aware of the word encrypting, means to hide the data, right? From someone to catch it. So generally, there are possibilities like if you do not encrypt the Trojan, nowadays firewalls and the antivirus are very good in terms of detecting the malicious kinds of files, would be our Trojan, in fact. So to avoid all those things, we will encrypt our Trojan. Like we are add a security layer, which will make sure that our Trojan is bypassed from the antivirus and the firewalls. So for that, here same we are using MSF Venom, and this time we will type -L. It will display all the types of encoders, or you can say the cryptographic techniques which would be used to encrypt our Trojan. So my suggestion is x86 Shikata GANI. It is generally suggested by everyone to use this encoder. And x86 is nothing, guys, but it says that the kind of I would say that Windows it is targeting, and the kind of version, like you can say here, the 64, then 86. So now all the advanced devices which are coming, they are coming with the x86, I guess. So now we are using x86 for the same. After that, guys, after entering everything, this whole command, msf venom -p windows meterpreter reverse tcp l host, then -e the name of the encoder. I100 is, guys, nothing but the intensity of the encoding. I am increasing it to 100 times. Like our code would be encoded 100 times to make sure that it is bypassed from the antivirus and the firewalls. And now the name of the Trojan is encrypted trojan.exe. Hit the enter button and this Trojan is created. Now, guys, you have created your own Trojan by yourself. And I would recommend that not to use this kinds of Trojan for bad purpose. For educational purpose it is okay, and everything should be done according to the will. Do not harm other devices, in fact not yours one also, but try to do everything in a mannered and in a behaved way, I would suggest. So guys, this is the way by which basically you can create your own Trojan, guys, by using MSF Venom in the Kali Linux directory, right? Now guys, this is the next checkpoint. This is the third checkpoint, guys, and the third one I guess is one of the most important checkpoint. And you can see from the logo itself, it says threat of man in the middle, guys, right? And you can see here is a device, victim device, who is trying to use internet www, but a person who, what is this? So it's a kind of hacker who is trying to intercept their original connection. Okay, so what exactly happening is here is the victim is said that he or she is talking to internet, right? And the internet is told that the kind of request they are receiving, that is from the victim. So this man is doing the job of both victim and the internet, right? So that's why it is named man in the middle, which hijacks the original connection. Okay, so that's a kind of theoretical concept, like what exactly is man in the middle. And guys, another name of man in the middle is ARP spoofing attacker. Okay, ARP spoofing attack is the kind of attack which is, guys, as I told you in the IP address section, ARP is address resolution protocol. It converts IP address into MAC address. Like one IP address must have only one MAC address. So as you can see in the demonstration, this is the router and this is the system. They both are talking to each other. Suddenly a man comes in between, infected person like hacker, and it says to the router that I am the system, right? And it says to the system that I am the router. Okay, so they both are exactly thinking that they are talking to each other, but a man is intercepting their connection. So this is exactly what the man in the middle does with you. It hijacks your private session which you are doing on the internet, and it can be your bank surfing also, your private confidential documents and all those things. So guys, I would like to tell you that man in the middle is a kind of Wi-Fi attack. So you should adapt and modify your Kali Linux for a kind of Wi-Fi attack. For that you have to use a wireless card for internet connections. You cannot use WLAN for those kinds of things. So it requires a kind of high-tech facilities to perform man in the middle. But somehow I have managed for you guys the real practical demonstrations, and up to which it is possible. So and yes, it is 100% that these kinds of attacks are basically not performed because they can cause serious damage and are absolutely illegal by the cybercrime. So I would suggest not to perform these kinds of things, and not on yours ones also, not on anyone's devices. So how to perform this dangerous attack? Guys, the name of the tool which I am using is Attracap. Attracap is nothing but a pseudo directory of the Kali Linux. It's a kind of tool on the Kali Linux, Attracap. And for Attracap you must have a user interface also, guys. User interface means like the kind of that I explained, that wireless adapter network you should use for that. Okay, so Attracap we will be using when you open Attracap. So you have to just click on the setup, and a blue section will pop up. Okay, so after that, then go to the host, and we have to just scan for the host, right guys? So we open this setup and just went to host one, and scan for host. When you will scan for host, guys, then during the time of attack, when I opened this host section, so when it was scanning, so I got three kinds of IP address, like whosoever Wi-Fi's were opened. So yeah, obviously guys, this is a kind of Wi-Fi attack, and it is basically performed on public Wi-Fi's, guys, right? Okay, because you cannot hack a private Wi-Fi so easily. And public Wi-Fi's are generally weak, and and could easily be attacked. So beware of joining public Wi-Fi's, because on public Wi-Fi might be a hacker is sitting, and through your IP address, that person might compromise with your data. So exactly, guys, we are getting here three IP address. You can see, and this is the first IP address, this is the second, and this is the third. Okay, so guys, now one thing to note here is, if you are just paying attention, this IP address and this IP address has the same MAC address, but this is impossible. As I told you in the IP address section, that for a particular IP address there is only one MAC address possible. So now uh, you can say that someone is a hacker, right, guys? Someone is a hacker, and someone is trying to compromise. So now if you closely look at this IP address is nothing but the IP address of the router, guys, and you can say that this is the attacker machine IP. Okay, and this is the victim machine IP. So this is a fake IP address, guys. Okay, because it's same MAC address, right? So this is the IP address of the attacker, and this is the IP address of the victim machine, that is the Windows machine, right? Sometimes we have to just specify the kind of machine also. Okay, so now we know the IP address of the attacker also, and for the victim also. Now what we have to do is add these IP address into the target section, right? Into the target one, add the IP address of the attacker, and in the target 2 section add the IP address of the victim. Okay, so now we have successfully added, guys. Now what we will do is go to MITM section, which is available on the top right hand side corner, MITM, and we will click on ARP poisoning. Like, there are lots of kinds of poisoning. Poisoning means we are just trying to send request and try to sniff data, just trying to do something malicious and harm. So that is poisoning. There are various poisoning: ARP, NDP, ICMP, and all those. Generally we will focus on ARP poisoning, so we will click on ARP poisoning, guys. And after that, when we will click on ARP poisoning, then uh, we will click on the IP address, right? We will click on the IP address of this victim machine, that is the Windows machine, and we will click on sniff remote connections, right, guys? So when we will click on sniff remote connections, so as soon as we click on the sniff remote connections, so we have completely placed ourselves into the device, guys. So exactly what happened here, if you have clearly watched this, I just needed a IP address of the attacker, guys, right? The router's IP address from which the attacker is using the internet, and one IP address is this for the victim, that is Windows machine. So between these two, a person came and just attacked, right, guys? So when we will click on this, and a session will be created, and we will be able to place ourselves between the two targets, right? This one and this one. So now how to test it? So there is a HTTP website, that is web scraper testing ground. So we log into the web scraper testing ground and just use username and the password. So after getting username and the password, and we got the username and the password in that section. Okay, so in this section we will get the username and the password on the Kali Linux terminal when we will log in. So basically what happens is, when you are using the internet to log in into this website and you use your username and the password, might be chances are there that this website is something important to you, like it's a kind of a business website where you are doing transactions and all those things. So if someone hacks into this and hijacks a session of those transactions, so it will be, quite harmful for you guys. So these kinds of attacks look very simple, but do a serious damage. And one of the disadvantage of this attack, I'll say that it's it needs a high arrangement of facilities, and a lot of things you have to arrange, then you have to perform, you have to keep a lot of things in the mind. So this kind of attack is generally not very famous and used by the attackers, at least. So it's my whole chronology about the MITM, that is the man in the metal. Basically, it can get your credentials, your username and the password without using brute force, I would say, but using the man in the middle. Like you go into a park, you have a public Wi-Fi, and you connect the router with your phone. So might be there a hacker is sitting, and it compromises your name, your Wi-Fi, and gets an attack and gets your credentials. Might be you are using your Facebook or Instagram, so that person will get your credentials. Like in this way you can get scammed, or I can say that you would be just attacked in the kind of man in the middle, guys. So man in the middle is a very dangerous kind of attack. So in the last I'll demonstrate the defense side also. Like if you want to check like exactly if you are in the man in the middle, how what exactly you have to do, and how you will know that someone is compromising with your IP address or the Wi-Fi. So I'll explain later in the session. So guys, this was overall whole about the man in the middle attack. So guys, now we are moving to the very next checkpoint of this tour, or you can say workshop. And as you can see in the title of the slide, which is written password cracking without brute force. So in this demonstration, guys, we will be using a tool that is called SQL map. This is Q, guys. So SQL map, is a kind of sub tool which is available on Kali Linux to perform SQL vulnerabilities injection kind of attack, you can say. And the most important thing about this attack, guys, is this is a web attack. Okay, so like I kind of want to tell you something. Like the website which I have used here is this one, guys. The name of the website is testphp.vulnweb.com. And now I'll explain you guys how to read a URL, basically how you can identify. Basically it is used in the phishing attacks, this kind of technique or this kind of analysis. I'll explain a bit more about this later, but now we'll see that the name of the website is testphp.vulnweb.com. We are moving into a sub table, you can say a table is present, list products in the database, and it is this website is developed in PHP language, and it has a category ID of 1. So guys, this is a website. Now if I trying to open this website, you can see here is, this kind of dialog box, and these are the GUIs, and this is the whole content of this website basically, which appears in front of us. So this is the website which I am going to use for SQL injection attack. And guys, this website is purposely designed for performing SQL injection and to check for SQL vulnerabilities. So it is my legal advice to everyone not to perform SQL injection attack on anyone's website without their permission, because it is completely illegal. Either you can test on your own website which you have generated, or you can host it locally on any of your ports, then you can all perform all these activities. Okay, so always use your information for educational purpose. So guys, this is the PPT, and moving to the next slide, you can see here is we are giving a command in the SQL map to obtain some things. Okay, so I'm going to open my SQL map. For this I'm using my Mac terminal. You can use guys your Mac terminal also, and you can use Kali Linux also. Basically I find it more easy on using it on Mac terminal, so I use it on my Mac. You can use it on Kali also, it's your choice. So I'll give just a simple command, SQL map, then I'll say I have to write this whole command basically. So minus u displays the, you know the attack on which website it is going to take place. So in that you have to mention the name of the website. So it will, take a little bit time, but it's fine. Test php dot vulnweb.com. So the main agenda and the main thing which you have to note guys is, more the commands you know the better kind of attack you will be able to perform. So it's my advice to everyone that try to remember the commands. And guys, one more thing, as you can see I have inserted a single apostrophe here, and I'll tell you what is the basic reason, because this is the most important thing in SQL injection. Let me write the command overall, then I'll say, now guys, here is the time. I'll just press space, and I'll write minus minus dbs. Okay, now I'm going to execute the command. So basically what is happening here, I am telling SQL map to perform SQL injection kind of attack and look out for the vulnerabilities and the backdoors and the loopholes. Overall I'm trying to exploit the SQL database of this particular website. So when I'll press enter button, the attack will start, and it will start getting the infos. And here it is guys, we have got the info. So I wanted to know the database, that's why I have entered minus minus dbs, and I've got the information here. You can see the backend of this dbms is mysql. Right guys, if you are familiar with this word backend, there are two words, front end and backend. Like you can easily access the front end code. What I am mean to say here is, like if you type google, if you want to go to google, you go google, and then just you type here is right click, and inspect element kind of things appears, and here you can see like this is the front end coding of the google which everyone can easily access, right? So this is the front end, but back end is something which is kept as private. Okay, so the most important advantage of SQL injection is that it allows an easy access to the back end of the database. And as this database back end of the database is written in MySQL, so we can easily exploit it. We know the operating system also, guys, for a person who is a hacker, and if he gets to know about the operating system, so it means a lot for a hacker. Like we got its Linux Ubuntu, we got the web application technology, it is created on PHP MySQL version. So we got two, database here, AccuArt and information schema. Now I want to look for something else. I'll go with AccuArt. I want to check what is exactly present here. So I want to traverse through this AccuArt database. For that, what we will do, it will take quite long time. So I'll just copy the command from here and I'll paste. Guys, it will be a bit easier for us to do then. Okay. So yeah. So now we know that the database which we are looking has a name AccuArt. So now we will write -d and the database is AccuArt. Okay. Now what we want tables, guys, which are present in this database. When I'll press enter button, the attack will start, and here it is, bingo, we have got the tables. These are the tables. There are 8 tables which are present in the database AccuArt. Okay, so for a hacker, if I want to get the credentials like username, password, address, email address, and if you look, I guess it might be present in the users table, all those informations and credentials, right, guys? So now I want to look for the table users. You can look whatever you want, but my main aim is to get username and password, that is password cracking. So I'm going with the table users. Okay, so doing the same thing, we just type the command, and now what we know that the database is AccuArt, and one thing we know more, the table, that is users. Okay, now what we are looking for columns. So what we are looking for must be placed after double dash sign, right? This sign, this one. Okay, now I'll press enter button. Okay, the attack has started, and now it is trying to generate all the columns which are present. Okay, now here we have got the columns, guys. These are the columns which are present in the table users. Username, password, email, name, all these things you can get. Now I want to get all these credentials. Let's say I want to get email, username, and this password. Okay, so for that, what we will do, basically, what we will just execute this command. Okay, so I have mentioned the commands also, you know in order to make it convenient for you guys to easily understand, right? It's just the game of commands, nothing else, I'll say. Then what are the columns which you are looking for, guys? The columns are email, right? Okay, another thing is username. What else? Password. Okay, now what I'll do is, what I want to get these credentials, and you can get this by typing minus dump. What exactly this command does, guys, is as soon as you press enter button after dump creates a memory location. It stores all the things which are mentioned here. So it will create a file where all these credentials will be stored, and when I press enter button, the SQL injection attack starts. Okay, sometimes it takes a long time for performing the attack, because it depends upon your overall internet connectivity, like how fast is your internet. The better internet you are using, the faster you will get the results and all those things. So yeah, sometimes it takes time. Okay. Yeah, guys. So the test has been performed completely, and you can see here, guys. We have got the username and the password, and this is the email address. So we have one entry, and this is the particular entry. Okay. So this was, guys, password cracking with the help of SQL injection. We have general tools on which this basically works. Okay, so now I want to check whether I've got the right credential, and to do that I'll go in sign up section, right? And I'll just type here test, and the password will also be test. Okay, so after typing username test and the password test, which we have retrieved from the SQL injection, so when we click on login button, you can see that the account is open, and yes, we have successfully crashed the username and the password using SQL injection. That was test and test. After that, you can see here this overall user details opens up, name, credit card, email. Like, you can practice on this website on your own for SQL injection vulnerabilities. This kind of pop-up appears like when your password is not safe. I guess these kinds of pop-up should remind you like you have not a secure password and all those things. So that was for a security purpose. So guys, this was the overall demonstration of SQL injection and password cracking, I'll say, with the help of SQL map. Now guys, one thing more, when I was explaining you about SQL map, one more tool struck in my mind, and that has a name similar to SQL map, and its name is Nmap. Okay, so these both comes in a pair. So right now what I'm going to do is demonstrate you a little bit that what is exactly Nmap. So for this I'll use my Kali Linux machine, and I'll try to just start my Kali Linux machine. Okay, so we will type the username and the password for my Kali Linux machine. Like, you can use, it's a good source of platform for practicing ethical hacking, guys. So Kali Linux automatically comes up with a tool which has a name called Nmap. Okay, so after typing Nmap on the terminal, as soon as you press enter button, these all functionalities and all the options which are available for you comes up. And if you observe and closely look on these options, then it have various kinds of processes. Like, if you want to detect the operating system on which particular website is being executed, types of scan, script scan, and if you want to detect which type of service are running, whether it is Apache, whether it is Nginx, and all those things. For ports you have different commands, and for firewalls, IDs, and spoofing, then you have lots of commands to play around. So what I just simply type is Nmap, and after that I mention a website here. Okay, it's a college website. Obviously, do not try to do anything on this website without permission. Just for a demonstration purpose, I am attacking, and I am network scanning this app.bmit.net. So sometimes it takes few minutes, sometimes it takes a lot of time. It overall depends upon your facilities, like which kind of laptop you are using, whether your system is upgraded or not, whether your Kali is upgraded or not. So I think mine version is currently running good, so it has gave us the result. And friends, you can see that one good thing about this Nmap, I'll say that it tells us the IP address of that particular website also, on which you want to target. Here you can see this website has this IP address, and it tells us that host is up, which means that this website is currently now live and it can be used for attacking purpose. This is the RDNS record, and this is the webhost.box.net. This is RDNS. This is something else. You should not get involved in the complexities, guys. And here you can see these are the ports and these are the services which are running on the particular port. As you can see, on the default port 80 HTTP is running. So by using this port 80, I can compromise with this website security, and I can attack in lot of ways, guys. Like I can do man in the middle also, I can do phishing also, I can perform SQL injection also, I can perform DDoS attack also. A lot of attacks I can perform. I can exploit the MySQL also. Port 3306 is also open. So it basically tells us the doors from which we can attack. So this is a very good thing about Nmap, and this is a tool which is basically used for a bonus purpose. It is not so involved in any kind of ethical hacking processes, but yes, it gives you a lot of important details which I have got in front of you. So this was overall story of Nmap, guys. I hope you would have understood. I would prefer and suggest you that you should use SQL map and Nmap both together. Like you can practice on a website, you can scan that website also, and you can attack through SQL injections also. So this is the overall basic, I'll say, the structure of Nmap, guys. And like this, in Kali Linux you will find a lot of tools. You can use SQLi also, and you can use other web application analysis, like you can use Skipfish, you can use Burp Suite, and these are all the tools which you can use. Like for every purpose we have tools. We have password attacks also, we have Medusa, we have Hashcat, and all those things. So for every purpose in Kali Linux we have a definite design tool. So guys, this was the overall procedure of SQL injection, password cracking. Now one thing I have told you, that I'll explain you what is the basic meaning of single what is the basic meaning of single semicolon here. Okay, so guys, now see carefully. What I'll do is just simply log into this website. Okay, I went into this website. Now what I'll do is just place a single semicolon and press enter button. Now you see, guys, as soon as I pressed enter button, a warning comes up, a error comes up. An error says that you have an error in your SQL syntax. So guys, this is nothing. This error is just telling us that your SQL injection, your SQL database might be having some issue with the codes and with the type of argument which you have used. So why hackers generally do these kinds of things? It act as I can say that warning symbol, because it is already telling us that yes, this website is particularly vulnerable to SQL injection, because it is giving us a message like you have typed something wrong. So all the websites which are giving you a message like this, you could be sure that that website is particularly vulnerable to SQL injection, and after that you can perform whatever the activities you want to perform. But I will suggest you guys not to do anything harmful, and do not do anything without his or her permission, right? We want to execute everything in a proper and a legal way. So this was one of the checkpoints, that was password cracking with SQL injection. We have crossed that also with using the tool and SQL map. And I introduced you a new tool, that is the Nmap for network scanning. After that, now we have to move on to the next checkpoint, guys. These are all the screenshots of the previous attacks. Okay, so now we are moving to the next checkpoint, guys, and here I represent you in front of you. This is, I'll say, one of the most checkpoint of this workshop, and it's a kind of major and advanced form of attack, which takes a quite long time also, but the results are very good. So guys, this is RDH, remote desktop hacking. After that, I have inserted a equal to sign and wrote Trojan. So guys, why I have done this? I want to say that remote desktop hacking and Trojan are very similar to each other, because without creating a Trojan, you cannot perform remote desktop hacking. So that's why I have placed the equal to sign. Okay. So what I mean to say is, what happens basically, guys, now you try to understand what I'm trying to explain you guys. Okay. So what happens here is basically, now imagine you have a machine. Okay. You have a machine, and that is victim's machine. Okay. This one is the victim's machine. And I have another machine, and that one is the attacker's machine. Okay. That one is the attacker's machine. And in between of them, I have created a malicious file. Okay. So this malicious file will create a contact between attacker's machine and the victim's machine. So this Trojan will basically allow us to remotely control machine's victim, that is desktop or laptop or mobile phone, by the attacker using this Trojan. So these are the three keywords basically which we are going to use. Okay. The very first step of remote desktop hacking is, guys, creating a malicious file. Okay. So creating a malicious file is nothing but creating a Trojan. Like I told you in the starting of my PPT, that what exactly is how to create a Trojan, guys. Okay, I have told you in the very starting, like in this section we created Trojan. Okay, yeah, so we created a Trojan, guys, and coincidentally the name of the Trojan here is Windows Meterpreter Reverse TCP. That is the same one which we were using during the time of creating a Trojan, and I told you that I will discuss its application and use later on. So now the time has come. Okay, by giving this simple command, remote desktop hacking, guys, is also performed with Metasploit framework, and for creating a Trojan we are using MSF Venom. On Kali Linux you can find MSF Venom. Like, guys, when you minimize it, so it all the time it will ask you the username and password from you, guys. So it's a kind of boring thing. So I was saying MSF Venom. MSF Venom. When you enter, press enter. These are all the applications, and these all are the steps and guidelines to work with MSF Venom. So MSF Venom is used for creating a payload, guys, or a virus, so or a Trojan. With this command we are creating a Trojan or a payload named this, which is used to crack Windows. Yes, guys, it's a payload of Windows, and more specifically I'll say that it will be used to crack Windows 10 machine. Okay, and the platform is Windows. Okay, the file type is exe because it's a desktop file. The L host is attacker's IP address. I'll say YOS1. Port, the port on which you want, default port 444, and this is the path. Okay, or the name of the Trojan, that is, and it will be denoted with -o, that is root something 32.exe. So guys, after entering all these and moving on to the next section, after entering all these quantities, and when we will press enter button, as soon as we press enter button, this Trojan will be created with the names root something 32.exe. Now this malicious Trojan has been created. Okay, guys, the heading of this slide is bypass antivirus. Guys, I think a hacker should be smart as much as possible. Like, technology is increasing, so hackers have to modify themselves according to the technology. So what I mean to say is, consider the time 5-10 years ago. Like, at that time this kind of Trojan was very harmful and it was not easy for the firewalls and the antivirus to catch it. But now it's very easy for the firewalls to catch this kind of malicious files, or you can say Trojans. So what we will do is we will try to make our executable file fully undetectable. That's why it is written FUD. And for that we will use a tool that is called Shelter. Okay, guys, in the section of creating a Trojan, we encoded our Trojan with using some of the encoders present on the Metasploit framework, and we used that Signatai S86. Okay, that has a very awkward name. Now here we will use Shelter for the same. What does Shelter does? Shelter converts the unwanted files into the legal files. You can say that it turns black into white, okay, illegal into legal, so that the normal antivirus and the firewalls should not catch it, and it in a sense bypasses it. Okay, so as you have to download Shelter on your machine. When you download Shelter, as soon as you download it, then you have to choose A, that is automatic. You have to specify the target, that is root something 32.exe. Then after that you have to go in stealth scan. Yes, you will say yes, I want to go in stealth scan. Yeah, it's kind of a necessary step. Just don't think why you are saying yes, why you are saying no and all these things. Just you have to say yes. It is as per instructed. After that, when you will say yes, these are the payloads which appears in front of you. One of the payload is similar and familiar to us, that is Windows Metapletter Reverse TCP. So we will click on first one, and this is a listed payload, so we will type L, then 1, then it will create the payload. We have to again mention the IP address of the attacker and the default port on which we want to conduct it. Okay, as soon as we fill all these credentials and press enter button, now a file will be created, the injection would be verified, and now our code is fully undetectable by the modern antivirus and the firewalls. Okay, so now our file is ready. So what we will do is we will install our file into the victim machine. Okay, and on the attacker's side, what we will do is basically we will start a payload session. We will start the session of the payload using a directory that is called multi-handler directory. Okay, so multi-handler directory has all the payloads. So what we have did till now is हमने ट्रोजन बना लिया, right? हमने victim की machine में उसे install कर दिया. Now what we have to do is start the action from the attacker side. So the attacker has started the session of the payload by typing the name of the payload, Windows Metapletter Reverse TCP, setting the IP address and the port, and as soon as he enters run, the session starts. Okay, now what we are waiting for, we are waiting for the victim to execute the file. We have installed the malicious file or the Trojan in the Windows 10 platform machine. Here the screenshot, that is something 32, and as soon as the victim opens this particular file in his or her machine, the Trojan starts acting in the background, and on the Metapletter on the attacker's machine we get a session. Okay, we get a session like this. But guys, the problem here arises, when I was performing this attack, I faced a very common bug, not an easy one I would say. So it said that failed to load client script file. So this was a bug usually which I faced. Okay, so I wanted to include this bug in this session also, because a lot of people, there are chances that would get the same bug when they will perform this kind of attack. Okay, so why this bug arised? This bug arose because I was not the administrator, because this file was not run as administrator, so it did not caught, yeah, it did not allowed us the overall control of the system. Like we will have the control on the victim's machine but not overall. So for an ethical hacker, I would say that he or she will want to gain the overall control on the machine. Like, yeah. So I have a proof that we are not the administrator. In the meterpreter session, I typed the command get UID. Get UID is to get the user ID, like what is the ID of the user. So my user ID is L3S7R0Z. Okay, it means that I am not the administrator, but I want to run as administrator. Now guys, here comes the another twist. You know, we started with a attack that is called remote desktop hacking, but we faced a bug. Now to overcome and to bypass that bug, we have to use another kind of attack. So guys, this is what ethical hacking is. For a big session attack, you have to perform a lot of small session attack in order to combine them and give them strength and come back with a good overall attack. Okay, what we will do now is we will bypass UAC. Bypass UAC means we will bypass user access control. अब एक मशीन के दो यूजर्स होंगे, I will say, or I'll say that one machine will have two administrators. Okay, for that what we have to do, like on session 1, we were on session 1, we got a session. Okay, on Metapreter, on session 1 we got a session when the victim opened the file. But now since I want to perform another kind of attack, which is Windows local bypass UAC come hijack. Okay, so guys, now what we are doing here is, guys, one thing more. At that time of attack, I wanted to get my system. Basically, this is the command by which you can check whether you are the administrator or not. If you are the administrator, if you have run that file as an administrator, then it will give you the details, otherwise it will not. So that's why it is not giving me the details, because I have just simply typed get system and it has set access denied. Okay, so these are overall proof that I was not the administrator at that time. So what I did is I, paused that session 1 in the background and I started another session 2, and I switched my directory from multi-handler, guys. Since we were using multi-handler, now this time we are using the directory which is called Windows local bypass UAC, that is user access control come hijack. Okay, now we will switch into this directory. Now we will use this one. Okay, and after that we will set a session, and in that session what we will do, we will set our payload. The payload will be the same, guys. Okay, the name of the Trojan will be the same because the working is same. Now some things have changed, but the working is same. So we have to set the L host, that is the attacker's IP address, default port, and run. Now after this, now guys, when we will create a session using the meterpreter, this time the session which is created will be a administrator session. Now we will be the administrator. Okay, and I have seen you how, like, if you are trying to type the command like get UID, like it says that the name is this. Okay, now I try to get system, and when I typed get system, this time I got the system, and I typed get UID. So now it told me that yes, you are the anti-authority system, guys. Now we have a name that is called anti-authority system. So basically it has bypassed the user access control. Okay, so this is the, guys, overall procedure of remote desktop hacking. So guys, only problem arised here that we were not the administrator. Okay, so we wanted to increase our privileges, because right now we were having less privileges and we wanted more privileges. So this process is also called privilege escalation, guys. Right, you want to increase your privileges, you want complete rights, you want more rights, overall control. That is called privilege escalation, guys. So this was the overall, I'll say, phenomena of remote desktop hacking, and by this you can remotely control any of the machine, guys. You can control any of the Windows machine, you can start their webcam, you can access their photos, you can access their drives, and anything you can access. But it is just for an educational purpose, guys. Do not do it for any intentional kind of activities, I'll say, because it is very 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 dangerous, guys. So please take care of all these things. So this was the demonstration of remote desktop hacking. So guys, we have covered a lot of checkpoints in this PPT. We learned IP address, MAC address, then we learned creating a Trojan, then we learned password cracking with SQL injection, we faced man in the middle attack also, and now we face remote desktop hacking, guys. So we have covered a lot of important topics, I would say, and now you are also a good person who has a good knowledge, I'll say, of ethical hacking, because you know a lot of things, a lot of tools, lot of commands to perform, you know, malicious kinds of activities. So I think, guys, you are getting everything what I'm trying to make you understand step by step, very slowly. I'm moving ahead. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the very next session, or I'll say the next checkpoint of our ethical hacking workshop, and that is the DOS attack. Okay, name sounds quite interesting, guys. DOS. DOS is, guys, denial of service. Okay, denial of service, guys. Imagine I'm using Google, and I'm using Google, and I want to traverse and I want to look out for different kinds of websites. Like, there are millions of websites over the internet, guys. Like, I log into a simple website, that is IRCTC. Okay, I click onto it, IRCTC, and yeah, so these kinds of things appear. Okay, so this IRCTC page, what basically does, like, we want to book railway tickets and all those things. For that we use IRCTC, guys. Many times, you know, we have faced the problem, like during the time of तत्काल ticket, हमें टिकट नहीं मिलती है, the site gets crashed, right, guys? Like, we are checking for a result, हम result देख रहे हैं for a particular board result, college result, the site gets crashed. Okay, so what's the reason behind this? Reason behind this is, guys, imagine you have a website. Okay, you have a website and the name of the website is target.com. okay, target.com. The overall capacity of that website to hold the data traffic, I'll say, to hold the data request is, I'll say, 20,000. These are the requests which the website can face. Okay, but with an automated tool, with something dangerous, with something malicious, like I am having the tool that is called Hulk Booster. With that tool, I sent 50,000 requests to this website target.com. So what will happen here, guys? Nothing will happen. This website will get crashed. Yes, exactly. You heard right. This website will get crashed because it is capable of holding 20,000 requests. But when you will send 50,000 requests at a time, so this website will not be able to hold this capacity and will malfunction in a kind of code. Like, you see, sometimes it comes 404 not found. Okay, that kinds of websites when they appear. So That is due to that reason website is not able to hold the capacity of the incoming request. ऐसा हो सकता है कि guys, like particularly you are checking 12th class result, you are also checking, and along with you lakhs of students are checking, 2-3 lakhs students are checking at that same time. So that's why there sometimes the website gets crashed because they are not good enough for holding that data request. Okay, so this is the basic principle on which the DOS attack works, guys. And the tool which I have used here for the DOS attack is Hulk Buster. The name itself suggests Hulk Buster. I have downloaded it on my Mac terminal. I'll show you. I'll type cd Hulk, and here we are in the Hulk directory. Okay, right? So how this thing exactly performs, guys? It's a tool which is developed on Python. I'll show you you know how to perform DOS attack using the Mac terminal also, as well as using the Kali Linux also. From both I'll use two different tools in order to perform the denial of service attack, or you can say the DOS attack. Like guys, now currently first of all we will move on with performing DOS attack with the Mac terminal, guys. Okay, so first of all let me explain you what is the basic syntax of the commands of the tool Hulk. Okay, we have a very simple command for this tool, and in that when you move on to your Hulk directory, after that we have to type the simple command python hulk.py. Okay, and just you have to mention your target. Okay, the name of the target, it's http. Okay, and now here one things come, guys, like what should we keep as a target. Okay, so never place an intentionally targeted website or IP address. Okay, I am telling you again and again, this is not legal, so you do not have to include something which do not gives you permission. So for educational purpose you can use your own website or the websites which allow you to perform denial of service attack, and these kinds of websites are very rare, and you cannot find it very easily like the websites who are giving you permission to perform denial of service, because it will directly affect their system and their website also. So no one will want that he or she may get affected by any kind of attack. So in this target section, basically what I'll do is, guys, I have a website which I have hosted on the WordPress. Okay, and the name of that website is https. Okay, it's hosted on https. What I'll explain you later, what are the good advantages of hosting a website on https, because one is http hypertext transfer protocol, and S is for security purpose. Basically it is a more secured layer to traverse through internet and to perform various activities on internet. So the name of the website basically is crypto. Yeah, so this is the name of my website, that is crypto209220.wordpress.com. so this is a website which I have hosted on the WordPress, guys. You can, for demonstration purpose and for educational purpose, you can host your website on WordPress, to learn things and to practice things. I would suggest to host your website and then perform all these kinds of things. So the name of my website is https, that is crypto 209 and 220 .com. Okay, now we have found out the target, guys. Okay, so now what? After finding out the target, now what you have to do? Nothing. Just the main thing here is to find out your target. Okay, and only find those kinds of targets, I'll say, that which allows you to perform that kinds of attacks. Rather than, I would suggest that you do not target any kind of websites which are for legal purpose and which do not allows you. Okay, so we have the site here, https and crypto209220.wordpress.com. Okay, now what we do is, as soon as we hit enter button, you can see here it says that Hulk attack started. Okay, so basically now what it is doing, it is sending lots and lots of requests to this particular website, and it is trying to make it down. Okay, now it is trying to just send lots of data traffics. It makes the, I'll say, system confused, like how to handle such huge amount of data traffic. This kind of data traffic is very, tough to handle, because guys, it's a kind of slow and steady attack. Okay, so the server exactly gets confused, like exactly what to do. Should I, just terminate overall procedure, but it doesn't allow us to terminate, because this request says that yes, I'm coming, I'm slow, but somehow I'll reach. So the system has to wait for the request, and that's why these requests are very dangerous, because these are slow and steady and are in very large numbers. This attacks has started, guys, and it will go on, and it will, not show anything, because this site is obviously secured and hosted on https. So it will not allow me to perform this attack basically. Okay, so what I'll do is, I'll just terminate this attack, and I'll try to show you from another way. Right, I have to terminate this. Okay, we'll again move into the Hulk directory we came. Now I'll write the simple command python.py. Okay, python.py and http, and we'll try with http now. Okay, I think this is enough. Okay, yeah, one thing we forget to add, that is WordPress. That's why I was thinking that what is missing. So now it's completed, crypto209220.wordpress.com. Now I'll hit, oh, I'm sorry, I think there is a mistake. Yeah, python.hulk.py it is. I have written python.py, so I have to write python.hulk.py. Guys, it's some kind happens when you are in a kind of hurry in all these things. So it's not a problem, just you have to keep on focusing and just keep on practicing the commands. Okay, I guess it is not copied, so let's copy it one more time. So you can see, guys, by using just some of the simple commands, you are able to perform a very large and advanced kind of attack. Okay, so what we have to do is, we have to type python.hulk.py. Okay, Python, here you have to type Hulk, python.hulk.py. Okay, now our command is completed, and now we'll press enter button, and it says the Hulk attack has started. Okay, now again this attack has started, and it will go on sending the requests a large amount of requests it will be sending, and this kind of attack is basically very slow because it is as it's the name suggests, the data traffic requests go in a very slow manner, so they are slow and steady. So this attack takes a lot of time to execute. It takes a lot of time to execute, guys. So this is just the basic demonstration, like how can you perform the denial of service attack using the Hulk Buster tool. Okay, there are certain probabilities like your attack might or might not be successful, so you do not have to get disappointed, because in this kind of field you have to face lot of bugs, lot of problems downloading a software, installing a software, lot of requirements, lot of packages, and lot of supporting modules, lot of things you have to check out. Okay, so this thing will go on like this, guys. And as I told you, this website is hosted on WordPress. Okay, so WordPress is a good website, and that will not allow me easily to make its web server down. Obviously they might be having good antivirus and firewalls, so these requests would be filtered by that antivirus and firewalls. So this was how to perform the Hulk attack with the Hulk Buster. Okay, now I want to perform this particular attack using my Kali Linux, right, guys? Yeah, so for Kali Linux I'm using a tool which is called Slow Loris. Yes, guys, you heard it right, its name is Slow Loris. So guys, to perform a denial of service attack using the Slow Loris, first of all you have to check whether this particular tool has been downloaded or not. For that you can just type Slow Loris, and yes, you can see we have entered in the Slow Loris directory. It means the tool has been successfully downloaded. And to perform the DOS attack, you have to give the command python 3, and this particular command, guys, python 3 slowloris.py http crypto, that is my id 209220.wordpress.com -s300. we want to increase the attack 300 times, and then we will press enter button. Okay, now what, as soon as we press the enter button, guys, you can see it is creating sockets. Okay, sockets means the requests, the http requests which are being sent are sent in the form of, basically you can say, in the form of http sockets. Okay, so where we will get the exact socket, that http request will be get fitted there, and we will get a connection. Okay, now since this particular website might have used firewalls and antivirus, that's why we are not able to get any kind of sockets. That's why it is showing socket count 0, socket count 0, like this. It will go on and it will try to get a socket which is open http socket, basically, so that in order to create a connection and make the server down. So in this way, guys, our denial of service attack works. And if you perform a good denial of service attack, then you can do a serious damage. You can make a website down, you can make any application down, and all those things which are hosted over the internet, you can make them down. Okay, so I would prefer that not to perform this kind of attack on the websites which are not allowing you to perform these kinds of attacks. Practice it on your own website, or just look out for something for testing practice, right, guys? So this is how the DOS attack works with two tools, basically Hulk Buster and Slow Loris. This will, guys, keep on going on, like you will not get a perfect result from this, because it is sending http request. This tool is sending http request to this website, but it has a good antivirus and firewall, so that's why these HTTP requests in the form of sockets are not able to bypass, right guys? So I have to execute this attack now. Now attack this attack, stop by Control C. This attack stop. Okay guys, so this was, you know, the overall practical command demonstration how this DOS attack works. Okay, now what I have for you is, when I performed this DOS attack, what I found out was unexpectable, you know, mind blowing consequences I found out and I analyzed. This was the overall statistics, guys, you know, which we performed during the time of Hulk attack. It was before the Hulk DOS attack. You can just see the CPU history, memory and swap history, and the network history. Okay, so basically what we did is we went on to the terminal. Okay, so guys, we will move to our Mac terminal and we will just type a simple command, that is ipconfig, okay, get if ADDR en0. So guys, you can see I typed a simple command on my Mac terminal, ipconfig get if ADDR en0. This command is used to get the IP address on my Mac terminal. Okay guys, now I have received this IP, and guys, this is the IP of my machine. Okay, so understand basically what I'm trying to explain you here is, okay, let me explain you more clearly. I'll type what is my IP. Okay, yeah, so see guys, this is my public IP. Currently I'm connected to a Wi-Fi network, and this is my public IP 103.196.54.88. okay, so this is the public IP which everyone is able to see. And but when I tried to receive the IP address from my Mac terminal, it says 192.168.18.17. This is the IP address of my machine, so this is more important address. So the overall motto to find out this IP address, like, I wanted to update you a little bit about how to find IP address on Mac terminals using this command. And as soon as we found out this IP, so what I did is I used the tool, I used Slow Loris and I used Hulk for this particular, and I typed the command that hulk.py. okay, and after that I mentioned this IP address as my target and I pressed enter button. Okay, I'll not do it now because it will harm my computer. So I performed this experiment. Before the experiment, guys, overall everything was going very nice. You can see everything was smooth. Okay, as soon as the Hulk attack started, it started sending requests. Okay, after some time of the attack, the condition of the system became worst. Okay, now you can see the CPU history, guys. It was 8.4 and it is now 74.4. Memory and swap history increased so much. Network history, lot of data traffic going incoming, going incoming. And after that, you know, this screen also got disappeared and it said connection timed out and connection reset by peer. And because Hulk made it unavailable, you know, the system denied to work in a proper way. It malfunctioned and it was not able to tell the CPU history, memory and swap history and the network history, guys. Okay, so this was the overall condition of the attack when it took place on the server of Ubuntu. Okay, so this is the denial of service attack, guys. When it take place in a large amount of numbers, it is called DDoS, distributed denial of service. It means, DDoS means, guys, DDoS means, 1 minute, yeah, DDoS means we have many attackers. Okay, we have many attackers and we have only one victim machine. Okay, we have only one victim machine. So there are a lot of attackers. One more here also. Here also lot of attackers are there and they are surrounding one victim machine. So that is the distributed denial of service attack. It take place in a very high tech and advanced form, guys, and it is more dangerous and more powerful and more impactful than distributed than denial of service attack. Okay guys, so a lot of, I'll say, important attacks we have learned. Just take a quick review. We have encrypting, we have creating the Trojans, how we created the Trojans, we have SQL injection attacks, we read about IP address and MAC address, then we face what is exactly man in the middle, then using the ARP spoofing and ARP poisoning, we got the credentials of man in the middle, then we used, without using brute force, we cracked password and username with SQL injection technique. After that, one of the most remote desktop hacking, which is a great and advanced form of hacking. Okay, we learned this one also with the help of Trojan. And after that we came up to the denial of service attack, and after that we read it, performing it with Hulkbuster also and with the slow loris also using Mac and Kali Linux, guys. So this was the overall story of denial of service attacks, guys. So guys, we have moved till now up to the fifth checkpoint of this very tour, and I think we have learned a lot of major attacks, how to perform it, and what are the basic requirements to perform these kinds of attacks. So we have very well got it, like how to perform those middle in the man, DDoS, SQL injection, and all these kinds of things. So we are getting near to an end in the attacking part. After some time we will start the defense part, guys, but there is a lot to go. We have a lot of exciting things. We will learn and explore good things. So before moving to the next checkpoint, I'll say, you can see, guys, just a introduction of my one of the last checkpoint and the most important one of this workshop. This is based on the new upcoming technology 2FA, guys. 2FA is two factor authentication. So we will just read it, and because I want to take this moment and I want to take this presentation to a different part. Okay, before starting 2FA we must understand what is FA, factor authentication, right? Then we will start 2FA, that is double authentication factor, right guys? So single FA. Okay, so what do you mean by factor authentication, guys? Factor authentication basically means you have a username, you have a password, okay, and you have an account basically. So you are trying to log in into that section, guys, right? So here you can see that in this very screenshot you can see, guys, like this is exactly what happens when a hacker tries to hack a factor authentication page, guys, right? So basically what happens, imagine you have a uh, I'll say phishing page. Okay, so phishing word, this keyword is also new for some people, I guess, right? So no problem, we will deal with the phishing one also. Okay, So guys, phishing. What is phishing? Phishing is Phishing. We spell it phishing. Basically, what happens in a phishing, this kind phishing attack is very, trend in nowadays. In this, you get a lot of links. Phishing attack operates on links, URLs which are modified, which are compromised, which are made for a purpose, malicious purpose, I'll say. So I suggest that guys, links are not safe at all, URLs are not safe at all. A lot of people would be knowing about the links, about the URLs, but a lot of people would not be knowing exactly how to read an URL, like how to identify whether this URL is malicious or not. Sometimes you get a lot of links, like we get discount on things, discounts on clothes, we get messages about the jobs, internship, free courses, like in whatever kind the hacker can manipulate you, in that kind the hacker will use his ability. But yes, one thing is common, that you will receive a kind of switch in the form of messages, emails, links and all those things, and when you will trigger that switch, the work will begin and the hacker will start his work. Okay guys, see in this screenshot we have an attacker. Okay, what he does, he sends a malicious email to the victim, like, guys, I am the attacker, and from any of you I send an email to you, like you have got this job opportunity, or like your account was tried to log in from a different account, so please verify your username and password, like these kinds of messages. I'll send it to the victim. Then after that, I'll make the victim to visit this phishing website, okay, which is created by me, of course. That is not the real one. Here, what is the main game is that we are creating a duplicate website. We are creating a hologram, exactly, I'll say, cloner, a clone of a website which is not real, but yes, it looks like real, guys. Okay, this is the main point. So when you log into a phishing website thinking it that it's the real one, you give your username, email, your account holding capacity and all the details to the hacker by this phishing website, and the hacker uses those credentials to log in into that legitimate site, the original one of which duplicate he made to trick you guys. Okay, this is the overall phenomena of phishing attack. Like exactly the same thing happens in the phishing. And guys, phishing attack is very, very, very dangerous. Okay, yeah, I'm repeating so much because it is very dangerous. It looks like it's an easy kind of attack. Yeah, it is, but it is very dangerous. Sometimes it is very difficult to identify, like whether this is a phishing attack going on or not, because it can modify its way, it can attack you, it can harm you in very different ways. Like we can use man in the middle to perform this particular uh, attack, factor authentication phishing attack, or you can use cross-site scripting and all these technical terms. Okay, so without talking less, let's get started. Okay, first of all, I like to make you understand that you know exactly how to understand a URL. Like guys, you have a website facebook.com. Okay, so when you log into this website, you can see here a lock sign is appearing. Okay, what this lock sign says, connection is secure, your information, for example passwords, credit card numbers, is private when it is sent to this site. Okay, so they are saying that this is a secured website. Obviously it is hosted on HTTPS, that I was talking from a long time. I'll explain about this a bit later. So it is more secured and it is a certified website, that's why we have a lock sign. And this, this I was talking about, guys. This is the original URL, https www.facebook.com. So guys, this is the exact URL which I was talking about. Okay, so if you see this kind of a thing, this kind of a URL, then you can say that yes, this is a legitimate website. Now the websites and the web browsers like Google, Mozilla, Firefox are upgraded. So as soon as you enter any website here, so they automatically identifies that whether this website is secured or not. Like I have a Mac, so if I go with Safari, I open my Safari and I want to traverse through the internet through my Safari, my OS. So you know it sometimes tells me that yes, this particular website is not safe to go, right? Sometimes it warns me that this connection is not secured. An attacker might compromise with your security, will get IP address and all these things. So we kind of get all these kinds of messages. That's why this operating system is secured. Like we get profile report and privacy report also. Like Safari has its own modifications and own, I'll say that own, uh, you can say in the way that uses or applications, advantages, whatever you say, guys. I'm just thinking for more words in order to make you understand. Okay, so yeah, this is the advantage of Safari, that it keeps a tracking report, the websites which I visited, which are secured, and if there are trackers on this website, see, you can see number of trackers. Okay, yeah, here you can see. So these kinds of privacy reports are being given by macOS. So just I wanted to explain that nowadays technology is coming with some advanced features, so you not need to worry, but yeah, you should know that what is the original thing and what is the duplicate thing. So guys, now you know that what is a legitimate URL. One more example, Instagram. Okay, I'll go to Instagram. This is Instagram. This is the exact website of Instagram, https www.instagram.com. Okay, so this is also secured and hosted on https, guys. So yeah, now you know that which website is secured, which website is not secured, like in this. Okay, let me go through one more website, like I'll say test PHP, the website which we used. Yeah, yeah. So guys, now see, you can see it says that your connection to this site is not secured. This is the exact thing which I was talking about. Okay, so like this kind of information is displayed by your web browser, that it is not secured connection, hacker might compromise with your IP address and securities, because it is not hosted on https, guys. Okay, so this is the basic difference of a real website and fake website. Okay, so how to start a phishing attack, guys. Like if you want to trick any of your friend to obtain credentials for Instagram, or I'll say Facebook, or any social media account, guys, for that, now you look, guys, what I'm going to do is we will create a phishing page. We will create a duplicate phishing page, factor authentication page, in order to gain the credentials, right, guys? So we are going to perform a phishing attack. Yes. Okay, so read the steps one by one. First of all, we have to search for social engineering tools, because this is a kind of social engineering attack. So here in this section, on clicking on this application section, you will see all the kinds of attacks and their respective tools. We need social engineering tools, so we go here and we open social engineering toolkit. Okay, it's asking the password for Kali, so enter your respective password. And after this, guys, here we have here the social engineering toolkit. Okay, so guys, what we want to do, see, we have a lot of options: social engineering attack, penetration testing. You might be aware of these words, some of you might not be aware. Okay, let's not talk about anyone else. We want to perform social engineering attack. We will go with one. Okay, yeah, now we have another 10 options. From this, what we want, so you should know your aim, like exactly what you want to do. That's why you should read and understand all the topics, so you should be clear of like what you are doing to do, because in this field of ethical hacking, everything is interrelated. And like if you know the previous one, then you will know the upcoming things, like that, in that sense. So what we want to do is, we want, guys, you guess what we want in this. See, I don't think these all are needed by us. PowerShell attack, third-party modules, mass mailer, create a payload and snap, all these things. Okay, what we want is website attack vectors, option number 2. Okay, so we will go with website attack vectors. Yes, some of you might be thinking like option number 1 is spear phishing attack vectors. So we are doing a phishing attack, so why we are not going on option number 1? But guys, that is something else. What we want is, we want to create a fake website exactly to do a to perform a phishing attack. So we will go with option number 2. Okay, we clicked on option number 2, and yes, we have now 7 more options, guys. See, entering into a particular folder, we are getting more and more options. Okay, so these are all the attacks, and this is the, I'll say, the basic definitions and the explanations of all these attacks. Okay, so what we are doing basically is, we are trying to obtain credentials, username, password, mobile number, and all these things. So these are credentials. So we will go with option number 3. These are or also the part of website attack vectors, but these are something else. Okay, we will talk in some other session about these things. So we will go with option number 3, guys. Okay, yeah, option number 3. And here, now in the last, we have 3 more options: web templates, site cloner, custom support. In this, we will go with option number 2, because exactly we want to make a hologram of that website, guys. Okay, yeah, after selecting option number 2, web attack has started, and you can see IP address for the post backend harvester, tab nabbing. This is my IP address, guys. This is the IP address of the attacker, of course. After this, you have to press enter button, and yes, see, now what you have to do is enter the URL of the website which you want to clone, or which you want that victim should see, that exactly what you have sent. Okay, so I'll send this Facebook link, right, guys? Okay, now I'll paste it. Exactly what I'm doing is making a hologram and making a duplicate Facebook website, which will look in the form of my IP address, guys. Yes, my IP address. I'll send this link and it will open in the form of Facebook. Okay, we press enter. Okay, so now this thing has started. Okay, now what we will do is, we will enter our IP address into the web browser. Okay, guys, yeah, we will enter our IP address into the web browser, and we'll try to look what happens. Okay, yeah, so here we enter our IP address and enter. Yeah, see, guys, this is the exact Facebook page which I was talking about. Okay, so these issues sometimes happen due to poor misconfigurations, and these are some software bugs. You don't need to care of it. Okay, so it appeared in the form of Facebook exactly, right? So when I'll enter my credentials and when I'll press enter, so I click on save. Okay, so I just entered my credentials, guys, because I thought it's a Facebook page. But exactly what happened in the shell? Whoa, see guys, what exactly happened is we got all the activities. Email is Sumit and password is Sumit, guys. Bingo, we have got our email and password. You can see using my IP address, I just created a fake, or you can say duplicate page of Facebook. I sent it to one of my friend. I said that dude, please like my page and give me a like. For that you have to log in into your Facebook account. So he thought that yes, it might be a Facebook account, but once he logs in, and yes, we got the email and the password. That is Sumit, guys. So guys, this is the one factor authentication. Yes, our topic was two factor authentication, but I thought you must listen and you must understand what is exactly the one factor authentication, because the two factor authentication is just interrelated to one factor authentication. So if you are not aware of one factor authentication, so I thought it would be a little tough for you guys to move to two factor authentication. So yes, now we will move to two factor authentication, which you can say is the advanced form of phishing attack, guys. Yes, so I'll explain it to you by a story. In story, we will have two sides, side 1 and side 2. In side 1, we will have the defenders, and in the side 2, we will have the attackers. So, starting the story, guys, as we saw in the previous session, like how to bypass the single layer of one factor authentication, I would say, like we learned how, how to bypass a single layer. So how this is related to our story, guys, we have a defender part and we have an attacker part. Okay, so let's recall the era when this phishing attack was very trend. Like I mean, we should go back 30 to 40 years back. Okay, at that time technology was not so efficient and developed to bypass and to avoid these kinds of attacks. So when this attack came, single factor authentication, which is a phishing attack, so it was quite tough for the cyber experts to stop it, because it can change its form. As I told you, it can be performed in any other attack, as a pseudo form. So users were very disappointed and were very frightened, like how their data is now safe, what they should do. And rather than this, most important thing, like the economic idea which came here. I mean, like bank transactions, I mean, like business transactions. Okay, some confidential things which are being shared over internet through a security. What about that? So thinking about all those things, our cyber experts came up with a new technology. Okay, so the defenders side was that they came up with a new technology, to protect the data which is very confidential, and they came up with two factor authentication, which in general, if I say to you, I'll explain. I'll say it is OTP. Okay, the very basic form of two factor authentication is OTP. Imagine guys, you are, logging in into a website and or a web application which uses two-factor authentication in the form of OTP. When you enter your name, it asks for your mobile number, and when you enter your mobile number, then it sends OTP onto your mobile number, and when you resend that OTP, so it checks that whether that OTP is correct or not. Okay, so if your OTP is correct, then you are allowed to enter your account. Okay, sometimes you get requests like someone logged into your account, like these kinds of updates by Google, guys, right? Yeah, so all these things have been updated, and exactly all these things are, I'll say, parts of two-factor authentication. Okay, so two-factor authentication is used nowadays by every website, I guess. Take Instagram, Facebook, Google, or anything, they use two-factor authentication, and now you have features also for two-factor authentication on your mobiles and on your laptops and desktop devices, like you can on it and you can off it also. Okay, so this is the two-factor authentication. It is more secured, guys, because the updates are directly coming onto your mobile, and that special keyword, the 6 letters generated keyword, is coming onto your mobile directly. Okay, so one thing I want to update for you all, that a person named Joseph, guys, Joseph Cox. Okay, okay, I'll write it here. A person named Joseph Cox. Okay, so there is a person whose name is Joseph Cox. This person is a cyber expert, and he, for the very first time, found out a vulnerability, or I'll say a loophole in the two-factor authentication, guys. Yes, you are listening right. He was the first person to decrack it, right? So he's in the attacker side. Defender side, what they did, they created two-factor authentication. On the attacker side, hackers found out a loophole to bypass the two-factor authentication, guys. Yes, now your OTPs are also not safe. Might be that this OTP is sent by the hacker itself. Like if you enter this OTP will reach to the hacker, and now hacker will compromise with that OTP in the legitimate place. Okay, so Joseph Cox found out that there is a vulnerability in two-factor authentication, right? So I'll try to demonstrate two-factor authentication, guys, here in two ways. Okay, the very first way which I'm going to demonstrate you, like how to bypass a two-factor authentication, guys. Bypassing a two-factor authentication means bypassing Google Authenticator. Yes, guys, you are bypassing the secured layers of Google, Instagram, and all these things, which is very very illegal type of activity, and you should not do that. And it is a very advanced kind of attack. It is the advanced phishing attack. So this is for only educational purpose, and I would say that not to attempt these kinds of attacks for any enjoyment kind of purpose, guys. Take it very sincerely. Okay, so to bypass two-factor authentication, the hackers came up with an excellent platform of tools, which is named, guys, Modelishka. Yes, guys, the name of this tool is Modelishka. It's a good name, and you have to install this Modelishka tool into your Kali terminal or Mac terminal, whatever you want. So, guys, One thing I want to tell you that in during the installation time of this tool, a lot of specifications and requirements were needed and a lot of steps were followed. I would request you to first of all read the guidelines for installing this tool, because this tool is not a simple cup of tea. It will require a lot of time and lot of changes, and lots of modules and platforms you have to download to run this tool. After all that hard work and labor, you finally get success and install the Modeliska tool. That's why it is not quite famous, because it requires lot of specifications and it has lot of requirements, guys. This platform and that platform, that's why. Okay, so this tool can be launched, guys, in particularly two ways. Either you directly launch this tool by giving this group of commands, I'll say, or you can load it in the form of a file also. Fine. Yeah. So what is exactly this is, when you download the Modelishka tool, it appears like this, guys. Okay. Yeah. So the minimum command to start this tool is, this tool is found in this directory dot backward slash dist backward slash proxy. The tool is found in this directory. What is the target? Target is google.com, because we want to bypass the OTP of Google Authenticator. So this is my target, HTTPS standard secured form, guys. And what is the phishing domain? This is the default phishing domain which you have to give, loopback.k.modelishka.io. I'll explain it to you later that why I have written this phishing domain. Then the listening port, the default port, guys, we have been hacking and we have been using the concepts of ports from so long, from the starting onwards. So port is the default port on which you want to listen, and minus TLS is nothing but it's a kind of a catalyst in this you will say process. Okay, so after giving all these commands, when you will press enter button, so the Modeliska tool will start. Okay, so if you don't want to learn this much big command and lot of things, so you can load the default configuration file of Modeliska and you can just start with that. Okay, so if you want to start Modeliska with the default file, so we have a different command for this, in which we will give -config templates google.com underscore jsuit.json. Okay, so it has the extension JSON. It is a JavaScript kind of a file, right? So when you will type this configuration file command and press enter, so we have to enter all these we have to enable the plugins are guys, which are used for receiving the HTTPS request. These are kinds of the sockets which will receive the request, and if any of the request is accepted or bypassed, so we will get a loophole, and all these things are here. So control panel is say hello to Modeliska. This is the name of the tool, and this is the URL, say hello to Modeliska, right? So after all this, Modeliska tool starts, and this is the IP address. This is the IP address, guys, of the attacker. So after that, what happens is you get the username and the password. Remember, guys, one thing, this attack has been taken place on the same machine. Yes, like I am running Modelishka on my Mac, and I am using the concept of OTP on the same machine. Okay, so I'm entering the OTP in the same machine on my Mac itself. So if I'm doing that kind of a thing, So Modeliska captures the username and the password which have been hidden. These are the genuine Google username and the passwords. So after that, you can see here this Modeliska tool is so powerful, guys. You know, you can say that it's a very easy cup of tea. Like, you didn't knew what exactly happened. You just gave few commands and you just defined few directories and files, and after that you just got the username and the password, guys. Okay, using the OTP one, right? The two factor authentication, I'll say. Okay, so guys, this is a very powerful tool but not used so frequently because it requires a lot of specifications, a lot of requirements and all these things. Okay, now what it says that launch the server using the configuration file and paste the following URL. So you have to paste this, basically you have to paste this URL in your browser. Okay, then it will display google.com. Okay, you if you now sign in into your Google account, you will see your credentials appearing on the display. Okay, as soon as you log in into your Google account, this username and password will appear. So it bypassed the two-factor authentication layer of the Google, guys, which is nowadays called Google Authenticator. Its name is kept Google Authenticator. Okay, so guys, you can see how simply we bypass the two-factor authentication. Okay, so as I said that I'll explain you two-factor authentication in two ways. So this was one of the way. Okay, so what exactly happens here is, guys, like I'll explain you with some texts, right? Okay, imagine we have a layer which is named user. Okay, and then we have a layer which is application. Okay, and then we have a layer which is, you can say, OTP. Okay, I'll name it OTP, and here is success. Okay guys, so we have four layers. Okay, the name of the first layer is user, then application layer, then OTP, and then yes, we finally logged in into our account using the OTP. So if we are using two-factor authentication, this is the general structure. Like, you are the user, you want to log in into your account, but for that you have to use the OTP because the site suggests that you should use your OTP code. So when you log in to that application layer, imagine any application layer, Google, Facebook or anything. So it sends you OTP, right? And if you enter the right OTP, then you log in into your account. This is the general structure. So what if we modify this OTP? What if we modify this OTP status? So guys, what I'm trying to explain you is there is a disadvantage of two-factor authentication, that we have to depend on a third party for a double factor authentication process, and that is the loophole, guys. Depending on something else is like hacker can hack that layer, right? Yeah, so what if we modify and make changes and find the vulnerabilities during this process when OTP is being sent to the user? Okay, so this is the key which we will use in the second demonstration of bypassing the two-factor authentication. So the term which we will use during this is session puzzling, right? Is session puzzling. So the name of the word which we will use for bypassing two-factor authentication in the second demonstration is session puzzling. We will do session puzzling. I know it's kind of a term which is not familiar by many of you, but yeah, it's an easy one. We have done in the man in the middle, that is session hijacking. So similar to that, that was in the form of HTTP. It will be then in the form of HTTPS, and there will be something more. So that is session puzzling, guys, right? So exactly what happens is, you imagine like we have a login form which uses OTP for login into the account, and say account of admin page, right guys? So we are using an application which uses OTP for login, and we want to log in into the admin page. Like there might be an admin of that page also, he might also be having an account. So what if we want to log into the admin page directly? Like if we got into the admin page, then whole website is under our control, whole web application is under our control, guys. Okay, so for that we will use session puzzling, guys, right? So for session puzzling, we will move to the next section. Okay, so this was, guys, the previous one. Okay, I have not moved the PPT. Yeah, so for session puzzling, we have to learn few things about multi-factor authentication, guys. MFA is multi-factor authentication. uh, Generally this is two-factor authentication only, but nowadays some of the websites or web applications are using 3 layers, 4 layers kinds of login application, guys. Yes, they are using 3 4 secured layers for multi-factor authentication. So how this multi-factor authentication works is like the user enters into the application login form, like enters the credentials, then the application sends the OTP, right? That is different from the password, guys. Obviously that is a 6-digit code generated, or a 4-digit code as per the application's requirement. So this I was talking about, it's a third party application like Google Authenticator, or you can say Duo Security and RSA. There are a lot of two-factor authentication, softwares. So the user enters the 2FA code and logs into the account successfully. But exactly this I was talking about, guys. So what if the hacker manipulates this process and directly logs in, right guys? So multi-factor authentication is nothing but the extended form of two-factor authentication. It's, you can say, it's the general scenario, right? So now we will see the multi-factor authentication bypass technique using session puzzling, guys. Okay, so this kind of bit is complex. It needs a little bit study of HTTP requests and all those things. Okay, so what is the basic thing which I am going to tell you is how to bypass the two-factor authentication using the session puzzling technique is, guys, like you have, I told you, you have a login form, right, which uses OTP and sends you the OTP. You have to send the right OTP back, and then you can log in, right? This HTTP response body manipulation is the most common form of bypassing two-factor authentication. It is called HTTP response body manipulation because in this we manipulate the response body. We change some of the session variables. Now guys, what is session variable? Okay, so when you log in into these kinds of websites which are used for business transactions or used for confidential or any kind of information data, where when it is shared, the platform on which it is shared. So basically what they do is record your traversing across the internet on that website in the form of a session. Every user will have a session variable, right? Every user will have a session variable. Like you log in into Paytm, so you will have a session variable. Okay, you're doing bank transactions or anything else, like you are on a government website like IRCTC, like ISRO, you are exchanging something confidential data, you are on Gmail, so that everything is stored in the form of a session variable. Okay, every user has a session variable. What we do is manipulate the response body, we manipulate the session variables. So this was the first backdoor, or you can say loophole, founded in the two-factor authentication. After that, developers and the software solution companies worked on to their security strength and overcome this loophole. So I have taken the screenshot, guys, like what exactly happened during the time of attack. This is the original request. Like I'll tell you what is exactly request. See guys, requests are basically of two kinds. Okay, so one is post and one is get. There are two kinds of requests. So it has a very long briefing and long theoretical explanation. That is something else part. I'll only explain you which is needed for this content. So post and get, this is the post request by the host. Target, you can say Google, and this is the OTP which it has sent to us. Okay, so this is the OTP which it has sent to us. After that, this is the original response. I have entered the wrong OTP and it says 200 OK redirected success false, right? This is the overall scenario, entering the wrong OTP. After that, I modified or manipulated the response body, right? I used the same OTP, same wrong OTP, right? And same wrong OTP means this one, 82693. This same OTP I used, and I changed the success from false to true. And after that, that application logs me successfully in. So what did happen, guys, is we bypassed the two-factor authentication using the concept of sessions, right? I'll tell you a little bit later how to record the HTTP request, what exactly I am saying. Okay, so by changing the session variables, guys, by changing the just changing the value of success from false to true, from false to true, the application logs in successfully using the same old OTP, right? The another part of bypassing the two-factor authentication is the HTTP response status code manipulation. Okay, so it was similar, and because that was the response body manipulation, this is response status code manipulation. Some of the web applications give us the messages and the output in the form of status code. For that we have also a bypass. Like again, this is a request post kind of a request. This is the target, imagine Google, OTP 82693. So original response is this, guys. It displays a status code 403 forbidden, error is true, message invalid. Okay, now what we modified here is we modified success true, right? We success true and just modified this response, because we can see that the name of the session variable is same, right? Here also we use the same variable success true. So here also we use success true and the application logs in us successfully. So by changing the response status code of HTTP, will log in into a secured layer of any web application. So like these guys, these are the basic two ways. And after that, Modelishka also is an automated tool for bypassing two-factor authentication. So it's a kind of tough task. It needs a lot of time and lot of arrangements. So this is generally not very common kind of attack. Okay, nobody bypasses two-factor authentication generally, but yeah, it is used at higher levels, of course. So these were the two basic process, like how can we bypass two-factor authentication by changing session variables. How it can be, guys, overcome. I'll say the main thing is you should change the name of your session variables. When this loophole came into the market, so the main bug was that the name of the session variables is same. So they didn't quite notice this, and hackers and malicious, hackers modified and compromised and utilized their inefficiency and just found out a vulnerability by changing status, by changing the body. We can bypass the two-factor authentication. Okay, so every coin has two sides, one positive and one negative. So we have also negative side of two-factor authentication. So the downfall, like I'll say, what is the disadvantage of two-factor authentication is it increases login time. Obviously, guys, you are depending upon a third party, an extra login step to log in into your own account. Okay, integration, because this 2FA generally depends upon third party like mobile service provider or Google Authenticator or all these things. So you know so which has no means of controlling these external services, and it should occur in a malfunction, right, guys? And in the kind of maintenance, like you have to properly check your two-factor authenticator, whether it is Google Authenticator or Duo or anyone else. So you have to time by time check that what is the database of users, and how we can encrypt, and what are the key features we should work upon it to make data more and more secured. Okay, so these are the three main disadvantages. And if I'll talk about the best two-factor authenticators, so this screenshot has been taken from the Duo Security. Like if this is a kind of a platform, guys, if you install Duo Security into your desktop or mobile phone, then it will capture overall control of your mobile phone, all the OTPs, whether it is Gmail, whether it is shopping kind of a website, any kind of OTPs or two-factor authentications will be done from the side of Duo Security, which will be completely secured. Okay, yeah, till now it is completely secured. And on the other side we have Google Authenticator, right? Google Authenticator, these are the screenshots which have been taken from Google Authenticator. Like you have to add an account, you have to scan the barcode, then you will get a OTP, and for OTP you have to just enter and then add account. Like this, in this way Google Authenticator works, guys. So these are the best two Google authenticators which I will suggest you to use in your devices, laptop or mobile phones or anything else, in order to make your data more and more secured. Like, guys, you can use antivirus also, firewalls, and you can use like WFA, Wi-Fi protection access, and all those kinds of a thing. And yes, one thing more struck in my mind, that is, regarding this this phishing attack itself, as this whole concept is revolving around the phishing attack. So I have to explain something more. on this phishing attack, and that is quite good for you guys. In the defense side, I'll explain it. So this was the overall concept of the two-factor authentication advanced type of phishing attack, guys. Now I'll tell you how to get the requests. Okay, this HTTP requests, because a lot of of you guys would not have understood from this simple demonstration. So I'll explain you like how to capture the HTTP request in your machines using a tool that is called Burp Suite. I think a lot of you might have heard about it. A lot of you have not. And nowadays, Burp Suite is pre-installed and already coming up in Kali Linux. Okay, that is a good thing for you. Now they kind of group together and have a group attack. The powers of Burp Suite and Kali Linux are combined together. Then they are attacking. Then they are used for ethical hacking purpose. But I use them separately. It's your own choice how you want to use it. So I'll just demonstrate like simply how to get HTTP request on your Burp Suite. Reading out a software, checking how this works is very important thing, because if you don't know how your tool works, what are the requirements, and you don't have any idea about your tool, then you will not be able to become a good kind of a hacker. Okay, it's my personal advice. So always learn about the tools and learn everything what your tool does and all those requirements. So we will begin with now capturing the HTTP requests. Will be using Burp Suite, right guys? So let's begin. So guys, first of all, I would like to tell you that to install Burp Suite, you have to read the instructions very carefully. Like, there are different steps for installing Burp Suite on Windows, and there are different steps for installing Burp Suite on Mac, like all these things. So basically, when you are prepared and know all the specific guidelines and the requirements, you download the Burp Suite, the exact one. And after downloading the Burp Suite, in my Mac, you can see this is Burp Suite, and that is the community edition, guys. The version of my Burp Suite is community edition. Basically, it means that I am not accessible to all of the features of the Burp Suite. Some of them are the premium features, so it's kind of a, I'll say, unpurchased version, right? There are three versions exactly. The other two are the purchased ones, that Burp Suite Professional. Okay, so but yes, we can practice on this version also, right? Now we don't need professional one, because our work can be utilized by using this version only. So we'll start Burp Suite. Okay, so there are a lot of specifications and lot of parameters in the Burp Suite. So you should know all the parameters, like what exactly they are, where you have to go, and all these things. Okay, so this is the basic overall structure of the Burp Suite when it opens. So here you can see target, proxy, intruder, repeater, sequencer, decoder, comparer, extender, project options, user options, and new scan, new live task, and all these things. So basically, Burp Suite is an open source tool which is used to find vulnerabilities in the particular websites. Not only this, guys, it is also used for attacking purpose. Yes, you can create your own payloads. You can have a brute force attack also using Burp Suite. Then you can have SQL injection attack also. A lot of attacks can be performed with this tool. That's why it is coming up now in a combined way with Kali Linux, I guess. So this is a good tool to use, guys, to find the vulnerabilities. Basically, it is good for web attacks, I'll say. So in the target section, you can see here are these things. Okay, proxy. Yeah. So the very first step, I'll say, after opening the Burp Suite, you have to just make your intercept off. Okay, So guys, a lot of you might be thinking that exactly, why I have turned off the intercept, like what is the intercept, why I have it turned off, and all these things, right? So I'll say that you should not worry about exact word like what is intercept here now. Okay, you have to just work according to the processes and the rules which are stated and given to you. Okay, so talking about intercept, I'll just say that if you hear the word intercept, like what does it means, what comes in your mind basically. So intercept is nothing like to interrupt something, I'll say. Okay, like you are coming in between the requests, the connections, and the data flow. Like you are sniffing something, you are trying to gather information. That is called, I'll say, intercept. Okay, so for that intercept one, you have to use a kind of a browser for this intercept purpose, for coming in between the connections, for sniffing across the internet. For all those activities you need a browser. Okay, so guys, this is the overall theory about intercept. That's why I was not explaining this, because it's a long theory. So when you are ready with your browser, either you can set up your browser manually, like what is your IP address, which port on you want to perform all these kinds of activities. Okay, like these kinds of things. So to avoid that, the burp suite comes up with an embedded browser. Okay, so that's why it is written, there is no need to configure your proxy settings manually, which I was talking about. You can use now burp suite's own browser, personal browser, to start the process. Just click away and you can start away with your processes. You can start away with your testing. So this is what I was talking about. Okay, I mean that if you will not make this intercept on, you will not be able to get the requests. The content which I have placed is because I want to explain you how to get HTTP request. Okay, so if you will not make this intercept on, then you will not be able to get intercept requests. Okay, that is the main motto. So we have to make it on, but not now. As soon as you log in into the burp suite, then you make this intercept off. Okay, now what we are doing guys is using this burp suite's embedded browser. Okay, so you can use it manually, but that requires a quite long time, so we will use burp's embedded browser itself only. Okay, so now it will open. Yeah, so here guys, you can see that this is the default embedded browser of burp suite, and it comes with the default I'll say the search engine Swigger. Okay, so what I'll type here is, I'll just type consider a website. Just consider a website, WordPress. Okay, so here we are, right guys? So I have just logged in into a website, and now I'll go into the login section of this website. Okay, now what it does is ask me a username. I'll enter any username, like anonymous @ gmail.com. Yeah. No, okay. So as I have to write WordPress. Okay. It's not a kind of a website. A legal username. Just I wanted to demonstrate you what this site is exactly. Okay, guys. So we have just did some internet activity on the embedded browser of Burp Suite. Now see what we got. What we got here is, guys, see this. This is the HTTP history, right? We are performing all these activities. I was talking about HTTP requests. Okay, just hold on a second. That content will also come, but see now what I'll tell. HTTP history, guys. This is the exact history what we did on the internet. And if you closely look, like we have a WordPress URL login.php. Okay, if you will click on it, so here it is, guys. Yeah, see, so by this, guys, you can read out the activities in the form of a request, in the form of status codes, or all these things. What the hackers generally do is these. You can inspect everything. You can check the query parameters, right? You can check cookies. Cookies are also very important, guys, for session hijacking. Then request cookies, request headers, lot of things are there. Okay, so it's just up to you, like what you want to check exactly. So these all things we did when we logged in to the WordPress, right, guys? Okay, now what we will do is come back to the section of HTTP request. Okay, guys, so this was HTTP history. Like this, you can check for the vulnerabilities. Okay, now how you will check for the vulnerabilities? Okay, that's a good one. So for finding vulnerabilities, you can just go to this section. That is a map section. Okay, map in the target one. Yeah, this is the map section, site map. Okay, this I was talking about. This is the site map. Like it's a secured website. So we have a log sign, HTTPS. The hosting platform is HTTPS, guys. So it's a secured one. So we don't have a lot of options here, right? Yeah. These are the issues which can be detected by the Burp Suite. All these issues are captured by Burp Suite. You can check for cross-site scripting vulnerabilities also, SQL vulnerabilities, JavaScript vulnerabilities, HTTP, then injections types of LDAP, XPath, XML, lot of things are there. Okay. So coming back to the section of I'll say intercept. Yeah. Now what we will do is, guys, first of all close this browser. Okay. Now what we'll do is we will make the intercept on, right? And now we will try to open the browser. Okay. So we open the browser, and we'll do the same thing. We'll log into a website, facebook.com. Right? Yeah. So as soon as we log into the website, see here, we get this, guys. What this is? This is the request which I was talking about. And what is the type of this request? This is get type, right? So when we were reading, in 2AF, uh, the two-factor authentication part. We also saw there the types of request: post request, get request. Like host is Facebook, and this is the, I'll say, IP address of this particular website, right? It is a good thing, it tells us IP address. Okay, now you can perform various actions on this request, like you can send it to intruder, repeater, sequencer, comparer, decoder, and all these things you can do. Like if you send it to intruder, okay, so now you can see the section has changed to orange. And if you click on intruder, see here, host is this, port yes. And now what we'll do is we will attack on this particular website. So attacking on Facebook is illegal, guys. Just for demo purpose, I'm showing you like how can you do. Okay, so in this your target will come, then you can set your payloads. Payload 1, what you want to do, illegal, Unicode, brute force, all these things. Okay, in this payload options, you can set various payloads. You can define the positions also, guys, of your payloads. Okay, and just bingo, guys, you can perform a lot of interesting, yes, but dangerous attacks also, guys, right? So this is basically how to get HTTP request on your burp suite scanner, guys. Okay, yeah. So you can do a lot of things in the repeater section. You can inspect the code. You can do a lot of things. Sequencer. Okay, you can live capture request. Decoder, it will decode. It will check whether any hashes are present or not, and all these things. Okay, so basically when you traverse through a website, it tells you like who is the host and what are the issues which are reflected in this particular website. Like SQL injection can be performed on this vulnerable website, right? So there are a lot of things, guys. So this was the overall section I was talking about, like how to get HTTP request and all these things. So guys, learning about a particular tool is very important. First of all, you should know all the parameters, what they exactly mean, what is their functionality, what they exactly do, and all these things. Okay, so you have to know everything about all these words, and in their subdirectories also what are present. Okay, and all these things, so you should know everything. And when you will know, when you will come up to that level, then when you are capable of you know knowing your tool very well, and you can your own, if you by chance get stuck in any kind of bug or any kind of processing, I'll say, in processing your tool, you get any kind of problem, so at that time you will be able to solve that problem by yourself, guys. The more you practice on your tool, the better your hands will get command, and the quicker you will perform all these kinds of activities, attacks, and demonstrations. Okay, so we learned lot of tools, guys: burp suite, Kali Linux, and Mac terminal like Hulkbuster, Modelishka, right, Black Eye, and all these things. Okay, so and we perform phishing attack, guys. The most important thing, making a hologram of Facebook page. Okay, yeah. So one thing more I wanted to show you guys, because now we are just coming to the end of the attacking session. We attacked a lot, guys. We learned a lot of attacks. Okay, but at the last, I kept a tool, that is Black Eye, for a practical demonstration, guys, right? How to use Black Eye. And Black Eye is used for, guys, for phishing attacks. Yeah, right, for phishing attacks. Which tool we used? We used in Kali Linux, that was social engineering toolkit, right? But now we will use a particular tool which is named Black Eye. Okay, so we will close burp suit and just move on to Black Eye. Okay, Black Eye is a tool which is used for good level of phishing attacks. I have installed this tool on my Mac terminal because it does not comes up with the Kali Linux, guys, because there are a lot of various other good tools in Kali Linux for phishing attacks, like we saw in that social engineering toolkit. Okay, so I have downloaded this Black Eye. So going into Black Eye, we'll need a simple command cd Black Eye. We will come into the Black Eye directory, then we will go with ls means list. So these are the common commands you should know. Okay, which list we want. We want this one, black eye.sh. To execute the Black Eye, you have to use command bash, because this particular tool is written in a language which is called bash. So we'll say bash black eye.sh, and here bingo, this is guys, the tool which I'm talking about. Okay, so little bit it kinds look weird and dangerous, all these things red, you know they are saying that they are just doing it only for educational purpose. So you see guys, there are 38 particular options. Okay, and in that 37 are the platforms on which we can attack. It includes Instagram, Facebook, Google, you say Amazon, Netflix, Spotify. Okay, everything, Messenger, Bitcoin, PayPal, Wi-Fi, everything, guys. Okay, so you can see that how diverse this kind of attack is. It can attack in so many different forms on so many different platforms. You can select any one of this, like you select, I'll say you select six. Okay, sixth one is the Google one, like. Okay, now what we'll do is guys, we will open just another terminal. Okay, and this is we are doing because this Black Eye works on ngrok. Okay, now what is ngrok, I'll tell you. You have to give a simple command first. Yeah. Okay, yeah, now what I'm saying is guys, what I'm saying is that this particular tool works on a platform which is called ngrok. ngrok is the supporting directory of this Black Eye tool. Okay, what this ngrok does is, guys, it finds tunnels, right? What are the tunnels? It finds proxy tunnels from which it can enter. Okay guys, it can enter into your data. It finds sockets. It kind of a request, you can say. Okay, so yeah, by which it will find a backdoor and enter your, I'll say, that account section on which you have stored your confidential informations, your username, your password, and your bank transactions and all those things. Okay, so a lot of theory, guys. Yeah, so this tool works in this particular way. Now you see this link, guys. This link, if this is the malicious link which is generated by ngrok, which link it is saying that send this link to the victim. So this ngrok has generated this particular link. Okay, which is hosted on this IP address, my IP address, and it is sending this particular thing, okay, to localhost, and to localhost on port 8080. Okay, so I have copied that link right guys? So when you will open that particular link, might be there are chances that it can harm your system also, it can harm your machine also, and all those things, right? It depends particularly upon your web browser, like how good it is. If it is not good, if its firewall is not good, then your web browser will open this link and you might get tricked. Okay, so if your web browser is good, then it will not open. Like, this is a proxy server, does not respond to non-proxy request. Like it says, it's a first of all, not secured website, guys, which I was saying, that you should identify like what is the particular website. Okay, we created a form for Google, and here nothing is mentioned about Google. So these kinds of URLs, that's why they are dangerous, because these are the masking URLs. You can say we are masking the domain. This is another keyword, domain masking, which is used in phishing kind of attacks, guys, in which we try to hide a particular URL behind another kind of URL. So these kinds of things this particular tool does. Okay, so black eye is used for phishing attacks, guys, right? And if you are getting tricked into this, then you will open that link, then Google form will appear, you will enter your credentials, and those credentials will go to the hacker. Like, in this kind you are getting tricked. This is also another version of phishing attack, right guys? You can perform a lot of kinds of attacks. Okay, it depends particularly upon you, about your knowledge, in which kind, in which approach, in which manner you want to take that attack, and all those things. So yeah, we attacked a lot. Okay, we done a lot of attacks with lot of tools: black eye, metasploit framework, Venom, Mac terminal, Kali Linux, SQL map, Nmap, Hulkbuster, Slow Loris. Lot of tools, guys, lot of tools. Well done, you learned a lot, guys. Now we will come to the defense section. Like, we know how to attack, but the most important thing is, like, if it happens especially with you, like for me also, I know all these things, then also if it happens with me, like what I'll do, what measures should I take, you know to don't allow these kind of situations to come with me. Okay, so we will discuss all these things, and that is also an interesting part. You will hear some good kind of stories in that, and you will learn a lot of things good. So we will move to now the defense checkpoint. Okay guys, so this was from the attacking checkpoint. So guys, before starting the defense checkpoint, I would like to say that all the attacking techniques so far which we have learned till now: SQL injection, man in the middle, remote desktop hacking, creating a Trojan, okay, and two-factor authentication, single-factor authentication, burp suit, Modilishka, and all those tools, and the knowledge which we have gathered, we should use only that for educational kind of purpose and for informational exchanges, I guess, not for something intentional. So I hope guys you won't do it, right? So till now we have did lots of attacks, and we are very well aware of a lot of tools. So after all, you're a good attacker, but I must say you're a complete attacker only when you know you defend yourself, and you kind of able to mitigate that condition, I'll say. Okay, so the very first thing I want to introduce for the defense technique is secure coding practices, guys. Okay, so basically, like a normal person will not know exactly what are secure coding practices. They just want to know the solid point only. Okay, so overall what I mean about secure coding practices is like I demonstrated SQL injection, right? I demonstrated SQL injection where I use this website, okay, and I, you know, just had entered button, and when I place this apostrophe, single apostrophe, it displays me this message. So guys, this message is nothing but this message is generated, I'll say, due to the lack of good coding, you know. Yeah, we should implement more secure codes, okay. So we have to do secure coding practices, like so that no hacker could bypass exactly from the codes, okay. Like, imagine friend, you have a website, okay, which is vulnerable to SQL injection, I know. So what exactly I'm doing is I'm playing with your codes, right? Yeah, so we should not allow anyone to play with our codes, and to avoid that we should do secure coding practices, guys, okay. For the same, you can use very new methodologies like DevSec or DevSecOps. These are the new, methodologies which are used for secure coding practices. You can download this software solution and you can perform secure codes. It will recommend you what to insert, what are the tags, and where you are, just mistaking or all these things. This DevSec oops, okay, DevSec oops. So basically, DevSec oop is a kind of a tool, you can say, guys. Yeah, see, if you see this image, DevSec oop, code, build, plan, test, monitor, operate, deploy, right, guys? So basically, they are mainly focusing on secured coding, right? So pre-production to production, access and plan, design, build, verify and test. So all these steps are included. Like, you can use DevSec oops also and DevSec also. Okay. So in order to do this, you can use these two methodologies to, make your codes better and better and secured, not to be compromised by any kind of hacker. Okay, that was the first point. And this is the second point, proper encrypting techniques, I'll say, guys. You have, very known and famous applications like Google Key Caesar or Bouncy Castle. So what they exactly do is encode your codes. Like, you have a code for a particular thing, okay, and you know that these kinds of codes are generally compromised by the hackers. Consider SQL codes, okay. Like, in SQL, how do we give the codes exactly? If some of you have read about the database management system, DBMS, if you are aware of SQL, then we give the command like, select, then we will say select star from, and we here enter the table name, okay, and then we select star from table name. Then we say, we give a condition where the table is equal to you can give the name of a table like user, okay. So this is the general syntax in which the SQL works out. Like, guys, if someone has to, compromise with this security code, so they can easily bypass it. I explained you a simple technique by putting a single apostrophe, okay, by putting a single apostrophe in this web URL, okay. So if might be if they are having good, coding practices, so this website will not display the same message which is displaying now, like error, you have an error in your SQL syntax. So basically we are revealing our own, vulnerabilities, and the problems here is this. So we have to avoid those things. For that, we use do, Bouncy Castle and Google Caesar. Two tools are very famous, and we can also use hardware security module. It's a kind of a module, guys, where you can, encode your codes, encode your data with the help of, strong cryptography techniques, and that encrypted data is kept in hardware security module. So this is the very first basic step I think we should all take in terms of defending ourselves. It's a kind of high level approach, I'll say. When you have a knowledge of very very, I'll say, high level words like softwares, like bugs, like vulnerabilities, and what is exactly an attack and all these things. So at that level, I think secure coding best practices and this cryptographic technique is the best. Okay, moving on to the next one, guys. Nowadays in the market, this is very famous. I told you and I demonstrated you the attack, and I demonstrated the attack of HTTP. I bypassed HTTP in the two-factor authentication, guys, also, and in that phishing attack also, using the HTTP. I got the credentials in the man in the middle. Also, I did the same thing. So I pretty very well exploited HTTP, and I can exploit it very well. So from the defenders part, they came up with a new, I'll say, protecting technique, that is SSL protection, that is called secured socket layer. SSL stands for secured socket layer, and TLS stands for transport layer security. Okay, so these both are nothing but this, you can imagine, is a kind of certificate. SSL is a kind of certificate which the websites are being given. So when it is written that the website is SSL certified, okay, so if it is written that it is SSL certified, so it means that your data is completely safe. Okay, so what, if you have a good browser, web browser, then it will automatically detect that which kind of website this is, whether it is HTTPS or HTTP. And I'll little bit demonstrate you, like, guys, I try to open, you say, Instagram, right, guys, I try to open instagram.com. So I opened the Instagram, and here you can see this is a lock sign, and it is written connection is secured because it has a SSL certificate. See, it has a valid certificate, guys. Okay, you can see here it is certified DigiCert High Assurance. It's a kind of a company, I'll say, so it is certified from that, and this is the certificate, guys. Okay, so very famous websites, big websites, and the kinds of websites which are used for a very legitimate purpose have SSL certified layer. Okay, they have a certificate which the certificate says that your data is completely safe when you are moving across the internet from one layer to another layer. Okay, so this is the SSL protection. I recommend everyone who are web developers who own a particular website, whether it is hosted or not. So I request you to have HTTPS rather than HTTP, because that is more secured. HTTP is not secured at all. I proved you 4 or 5 times in front of you. Okay, so this is the basic mean of this slide layout, SSL protection. Okay, and you can see here, once you try to use PayPal is a bank transaction, I'll say, application, online application as well as offline application. So when you use it, so when you are connected to this, they say that you are connected to paypal.com, which is run by this particular company, and your connection to this website is encrypted to prevent eavesdropping. Guys who are not aware of eavesdropping, I'll say eavesdropping means, you can say, in Hindi, if I'll try to explain it to more clearly, jasusi, I'll say. Okay, you are very silently observing all the things and creating a report and then giving it. So that is called eavesdropping. So that is prevented using SSL certificates. Okay, so this is now more secured. But guys, as I know, I told you and I showed you also, in the two-factor authentication we bypassed the HTTPS, because we bypassed Google, that is also HTTPS. So we bypassed HTTPS with a proxy server. Okay, so this is now also possible to bypass SSL also, guys. But yes, it is far more better than HTTP, I'll say. Okay, so the very next checkpoint in the defense part, guys, is the firewalls. A lot of people are aware of firewalls, what exactly is, what is the main function of firewalls. So we will not get involved in any of the complex terms regarding firewalls. We will just focus on which we want to and which is our need, which will be helpful for us. That is WAF, web application firewall, which protects basically the web applications from vulnerabilities like kinds of trojans, bugs, ransomware, spyware, and all these malicious files, I'll say. Okay, guys, so web application firewall can protect us from the vulnerabilities of both HTTP and HTTPS, both, guys. So it's a good thing. Okay, so web application firewall lies in the seventh layer of the security. So in IT means, guys, I'll say in the information industry, you can say that seventh layer of there are seven layers of security. Like consider a data and how much it is secure. So it is explained by seven layers of the security. So the last layer is the web application firewall. Okay. So if you are not having a good firewall, what kinds of major attacks you can face, and from them I demonstrated some of them also, guys. Yeah, we didn't did distributed denial of service, but yes, we did denial of service exactly. Yeah, distributed is when you are performing in a group. Okay, we didn't did cross site, but it's also not a rocket science. It's also a simple kind of attack. We did SQL injection also, and we did session hijacking from man in the middle, guys. Okay, so yeah, we did 3-4 attacks by ourselves. So by having a poor firewall, I'll say that you can face these kinds of attacks. And now I'll try to explain you a little bit more that how it protects us. Okay, guys, imagine that we have two firewalls. One is network firewall and the another one is web application firewall. So this is our app server. Consider, guys, this is our, I'll say, guys, consider this is our machine. Okay, this is our machine on which you are using your internet. Okay, this is our machine, right, guys? So there is a hacker, and now he tries to attack you from different kinds of attacks, guys, right? Yeah, so now he tries to attack you, and he tries to attack you from a non-web attack. Non-web attack means, guys, like I'll say, not an online attack, you can say offline attack. Okay, which is not on the internet, that is the non-web attack. A very common example, I'll say, brute force, guys. If you are brute forcing into anyone's account, so that is also offline attack. Okay, because you are guessing the right password, right? So that might be catched by the firewall. But if we are performing a good web attack, consider a good phishing attack. Okay, consider remote desktop hacking, consider SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and a lot of more. So that kinds of attacks might be able to bypass network firewall, right, guys? Like we did a thing which is called bypass UAC, user access control, right, guys? So that bypassing must have bypassed the network firewall also, right? So you are getting what I'm trying to explain. We did all these things. So that might be catched by the web application firewall. Exactly what is this? It's trying to say that if you are having a good firewall, so these kinds of attacks might be prevented. Okay, and then the legitimate traffic which you want on your machine might flow from the internet to your app servers. Okay, so this is the overall basic explanation I'll say of firewalls in this way. Firewalls protect us. They are basically, filter the malicious files. They act as filter packets. Okay guys, so they only allow the certified and legitimate things to bypass and enter the machine. But yes, if you are having a poor firewall, then you will definitely, get in problem. No problem. We will see what are some good network firewalls, guys. Okay. So the very first and the topmost I would recommend is Google Cloud. Google Cloud is capable of, catching most most newest Trojans, I'll say. Okay. So it is a very well known firewall which is used by most of the companies, right guys? I'll say it is most dependent. People are generally, dependent on Google Cloud only. When you will hear from a common person, they will tell you about Google Cloud only if they are aware of network firewalls. Okay, so they kind of are very expert in filtering the packets. They can filter a lot of packets at a time. So on the other hand, we have the another firewall which name is Barracuda. Yes guys, its name is also good, Barracuda. You can either have Google Cloud on your machine or you can have Barracuda on your machine. Both are very good firewalls, and they will protect you from these particular kinds of attacks: DOS attack, cross-site, SQL, brute, session hijack, and spam. So I recommend you to have anyone from these both, Barracuda or Google Cloud. Okay, so this was the firewall section from the defense part. Now we'll move to antivirus. Like firewalls, we have antivirus also. We have one more, I'll say, concept of security in our system from the threats, that is called antivirus. So if you talk about a modern antivirus, what they are capable of doing, so these are some common points which all modern antivirus are capable of: detecting, blocking, and removing virus. Like guys, ransomware, malware, I told you the same. They kind of prepared to block the phishing kind of emails. Okay, fraud emails, and which are fake emails. Okay, like if you go onto a dangerous website, they will warn you that this particular website is not safe, not to carry on. Okay, so it can find an email address. Okay, and all these things. The better antivirus you will take, the more functions and more capabilities you will get. So these are the modern capabilities of the antivirus, and I advise personally you to have a good antivirus, guys, in your machine. Okay, if you are kind of involved in ethical hacking field, definitely you should have firewalls also, and then antivirus also. Like I have a screenshot using, Avast antivirus. And why I have especially taken this screenshot, because I wanted to show you guys, like this particular antivirus has a special function, like to especially scan for virus scans. Like if you will do select protection and then you will do virus scans, then it will display you all the kinds of virus means these trojans, malicious files, phishing files, all you will get. Okay, so just I wanted to show that antivirus was also, just changing themselves with the time and with the technology, guys. So we will move, little bit quick, because these are very common things, and we just don't need so much explanation about all these things. We will work with the common examples, and that is enough for us. So from antivirus, we had Avast antivirus as the example. Okay, so now we have firewall. Okay guys, now we have common firewall. If we talk about the common firewall, what they are capable of doing, guys. Okay, so as we talked about the web application firewall, that is, kind of capable of managing the web attacks. But if you talk about a normal firewall, it's in your mobile phone and all those things. So what does a firewall basically do? So we should deploy obviously web application firewall, which is the most important thing, and this is the most important firewall we should have, especially for web application purpose. Then we should educate users, right guys? What I am exactly doing is the same thing. I am educating you on this particular topics about security, cyber security and cyber warfare, right guys? So the more you will educate the people, the better they will know about all those things, and they can just stop the attack when from the very source. So when it will get started, they will automatically know and they can stop the attack. So we should install firewall obviously. Then the third one is use an advanced or proactive email security solution. Right guys, what's the meaning of this? Email proactive and advanced email security solution means, guys, antivirus is typically only effective in defending against threats like trojans and all those things. So it is ineffective in protecting against the bugs which you are not aware of, right guys, which you are not aware of. Like imagine we have a poor email security company, not like Google, a poor one, okay, and it gets hacked, okay. So you will not be able to do anything, right guys, because you are having an email account, and if that company gets hacked, so your data will be compromised. So if you are the owner of that company, what should you think? We should use more advanced and more proactive email security solution, like Google is using Google Authenticator. So for all those things we should use, okay. So for considering a firewall, these three steps are very important, okay. Now the types of firewall we can use. Good firewalls to have, the very best one is the FortiGate. It gets 4.7 out of 5, guys, right? FortiGate develops a good security network platform, okay, to protect from threats, and will give you a good performance. And the complexity of this firewall is also very less, okay, not so much complex. Now the next one you can have is the Checkpoint. Now it is new generation firewall, that is NGFWs, okay. It gets 4.4 out of 5. So guys, Checkpoint is another good firewall I'll suggest you to have in your systems, okay. And it comes with it comes with 23 models. It comes with 23 models, each are optimized for creating and capturing particular threats of SSL, traffic inspection and all those things. So it is also a very good firewall to have, right guys. And now one thing I like to tell you, when I'll come to the next section, this one, I have especially taken this photo, guys, because what this exactly is. This is the 0-day exploit, guys. Yes, its name is 0-day exploit. I thought that I should tell you about this, because this is very important keyword in the field of ethical hacking, okay. It's 0-day exploit. So guys, what is exactly 0-day exploit? 0-day exploit means the same day you get the vulnerability and the same day you get attacked, compromising that vulnerability, okay. Like guys, एक कंपनी है, okay, and उस कंपनी में आज एक बग पता चलता है कि this is a bug in the software of that company, and on that same day शाम को उसी कंपनी के ऊपर अटैक हो जाता है, उसी वर्नेबिलिटी को लेकर, उसी लूप होल को लेकर, like because of that vulnerability and that, so software is exploited. So that is called the 0-day exploit. So this is a 0-day exploit, and it was founded out by Chinese attackers. So there was a big company, and that big company was giving malicious files to the users, okay. They got trapped in a case and they were caught red-handed. Security company solution called F Security just tried to run that software on their machine, and this message in the form of GUI came out, and it said that this is very harmful, so we should not open this particular file winword.exe, guys. Okay, so this was a zero-day exploit. So this word is very important, zero-day exploit. Currently there are only 3 zero-day exploit, guys. I guess one is the Stuxnet, that the uranium power plants of the Iran were attacked and the codes were modified. Then one was when Chinese attacked on any celebrities account, and one was done by Russia itself. So till now there are 3 zero-day exploits, and this was one of them, guys. Okay, so this was all about the, I'll say, firewalls, guys. This was all about the firewall section. Now coming to the very one of the last checkpoints, that is the static code analyzer, guys. Static code analyzer means that you do coding, lots of lot coding. I mean, you create your websites also. So like I gave you the example of Google, when we accessed its front element, right, its front end elements. So this is what this is, guys, coding. Okay, so the better we code, the good web application we develop. So to protect our code and to make our code more secured, to avoid problems and vulnerabilities, we use static code analyzer. Automated tools are coming for static code analyzer. Like you have a project and you want to check it on a static code analyzer. It's an automated tool of Dev. You want to check it, so it displays you all the problems, like there are 7 issues and 9 complex files, 12% duplicated code, 10% coverage. So it will give you the overall I'll say status of your project, the set of codes, and it will represent you a result in the graphical form also. So this is the basic procedure of static code analyzer. This kind of, I'll say, defense technique is used at higher levels when you are very professionally involved in these kinds of things. So static code analyzer is a good thing. Like one more screenshot has been taken from Visual Studio. Visual Studio static code analyzer looks like this. If you insert your codes into this, then it tells you like what are the problems exactly in your codes. So it's a good thing to check out your code, guys. One more is SonarQube. SonarQube is another static code analyzer. Okay, so I will check lines of codes, a kind of project on SonarQube. So it displayed all these following informations, like another different I'll say tools will give you the output data about your codes in different forms. Like I'll say the Visual Studio was given in a different form, SonarQube is given in different form, this much lines of code, this much classes. Okay, these are the issues with the packages and all those things, what is the complexity. So these are the things which you should, I'd recommend use as a static code analyzer. You should use SonarQube or Visual Studio, or I'll say Dev, for a better, I'll say, good application. Okay, guys, to create an application without less errors, I'll say you should use the this section, static code analyzer. Okay, and in the last but not the least, guys, I mentioned this special part where we are having that how to prevent from MITM, man in the middle, or ARP, address resolution protocol poisoning. So there is a simple way like how you can detect that if you are under a man in the middle or ARP cache poisoning attack. What is the thing you have to do is, for the I'll say that you have to go to your shell. Okay, and I'll especially recommending this for the Windows users. Go to your operating shell. Okay, the shell of the Windows, and run it as administrator. After you run that as administrator, you run the following command. On Windows and Linux, on both you can use ARP. ARP is nothing but address resolution protocol -A, and the output will appear something like this. This is the internet and this is the physical address. So guys, you can see here, I told you that one IP address should have only one MAC address, but this MAC address and this MAC address are same. So it means that out of these two, someone is the hacker, and I guess this one is the hacker. 192.168.5.202 is the hacker, guys, I guess, because it has the same IP as the victim one, guys. Okay, so yeah, the attacker's IP is probably this 202, and this is the victim's one, I'll say. Okay, so in this way you can use, use your knowledge and use your technique to prevent from MITM attack if you want to check you are under the MITM attack. And next thing you can do to prevent from ARP is, or MITM is, you can use VPN. Okay, virtual private network, a lot of people are using to play PUBG, to do a lot of things on the internet, so everyone is aware of the VPN. Okay, so you can use it, VPN. You can do proxy chaining, guys. I'll tell you what is proxy chaining. You can use static ARP. It comes, there is a word which is called static ARP, where you can fix your particular IP address and the MAC address. You can allow only certain IP address and MAC address to access. That is called static ARP. Okay, guys, and there is a word which, means, like, I'll say, there is a word, guys, which means proxy chaining. I will recommend everyone to use this word and implement in the daily life scenario. Proxy chaining, guys, is nothing but, proxy means fake, chaining means, to join. So you are actually doing what? You are adding fake, IP addresses. So you should do, and you have to do proxy chaining of your IP address in order to protect yourself from the attackers, like they don't get your exact IP address. You can do proxy chaining. Okay, you can do on Mac terminal also, and you can do in the Kali Linux section also. You can perform proxy chaining. You can hide, like, guys, this is your real IP. Okay, this is your real IP, and then you hide your IP with IP1. Okay, and then you proxy chain your IP with IP2. You can, in this form, create different layers of fake IPs, or you can say proxy IPs, and user will access this IP, then this, then this, then this. So it will take quite long time to reach your real IP address. So guys, it's a part which should be included in the defense mode. That's why I explained you about proxy chaining in the defense mode. This is basically done to, not allowing the people to see the original IP address, but see the duplicate or the proxy IP address. So you should use this technique also. The more smart techniques you use, the better ethical hacker you are. So guys, this is the end of the journey. This was all from the journey of put attack and defense side by side. I hope you learned a lot, you like this workshop, and you learned a lot of things, guys. Thank you. I'll say keep practicing, keep hacking, keep learning, but yes, don't do something intentionally, guys. Okay, and thank you.